It is the 18th day of July 2023. My name is Simba Kiage. It is Tuesday. That means it is just a couple of hours then before the country again goes into another spat of demonstrations across the country. The Azimio coalition made true their threat yesterday that indeed tomorrow will be the day that the country is going to witness another dimension of the nationwide demonstrations that we've seen across the country. Kithure Kindiki has come out to say that the response that the security agencies put forward in Wednesday's demonstrations last week were essentially a failure to Kenyans. They're now saying they are putting their forces together to make sure that indeed none of the violence that was witnessed last week reoccurs once the Azimio coalition goes to the street. This week or today, we start by informing you that the government has withdrawn security forces that are essentially attached to the former premier, that is Raila Amolo Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, essentially saying that if you continue supporting the demonstrations across the country, then we have no business protecting you. The Azimio coalition is reading foul into that this morning. I'll be running stories once we get into our newsroom coverage of those demonstrations. They're reading foul into that particular move, saying, why now? When indeed we are out practicing our democratic right. So there's so many dimensions then that we're going to look at this particular issue this morning. It is that particular plan which majority of political analysts at the onset of this new set of demonstrations did indicate that they do not think that this plan is working. But the Azimio coalition tend to think that if they are then true to their threat of demonstrating in the country for the next 3 days, the government in one way or another will be pushed to react. So the question is going to be then, in what way is the government going to react? President RUTO has already made himself clear that he is not going to tolerate any demonstrations in the country. So all eyes on him as from tomorrow. What word are they saying? They're saying the mother of all demonstrations. But then, is that going to happen when the security agencies and the president in the country has already made it clear to Kenyans that he is not going to tolerate that kind of nonsense? Join us online and Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. The question this morning is this the plan? We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to your dailies this morning so you can get to see exactly what it is that you're waking up to this morning. All right, welcome back. In case you are just joining us, you are watching Lookuptv, but most certainly the morning drift. My name is Simba Kiage. Let's get then into our dailies this morning, and I would like to start with the Daily Nation, where the headline is simply, enough is enough. That is what they're calling page one comment. And this is what they're saying. Nobody knows for sure whether the country will hold together or break apart should the anti-government demonstrations planned for tomorrow to Friday go ahead. That more than 50 million Kenyans are at the mercy of two gentlemen, that is President William Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. Their words alone could determine if the country goes the way of failed states or the formation called Kenya, and which millions can call their only home. pulls back from the brink. That is a headline this morning on the Daily Nation, and they've essentially done that story over the page 17. On pages 4 and 5, they're saying the country's fate lies in this man's hands. Decision time. That's what they're saying. Azimio leader Raila Odinga and President William Ruto have put their feet down on the planned protests. Now Kenyans will be watching if they, together with the country's top security chiefs, Kindiki, Haji and Kome, will let the nation slide into anarchy. That is on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. The men are there: Interior CS Kithure Kindiki, Intelligence Boss Nordin Haji, and Police Chief Japheth Kome, and then flanked by Raila Odinga and Dr. President William Ruto. Other than that, on the sidelines of that, there is a story here on our members of parliament have begun a probe into dubious deals at NHIF. NHIF back essentially in the headlines as well. Back page of the Daily Nation. Nakumenja has been sued over promotion of junior doctors. Now, that's essentially what is going on in Nakuru, where a Nakuru doctor has filed a case at the High Court against Health CS Susan Nakumenja, accusing her of promoting junior officials to senior management positions in the ministry. That story has been covered on page 3. And then in the agricultural sector this morning, there's a fresh hope for Kenyan tea pickers and a compensation fight with Finlay. That is on page 29. That's essentially what they have covered here on the Daily Nation. Let's move on then and see what has been covered on the Standard this morning. The big headline here is pressure is mounting on Uhuru over Azimio protests. Now, security chiefs have been tasked to investigate the ongoing demonstrations with allegations that former president could be at the center of the resource mobilization. That story has been covered on page 4 and 6 of the Standard. And let's see pictures there of ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna addressing the press in Nairobi yesterday, where he claimed there was a plan by the government to harm Azimio leaders during demonstrations. Again, read that story on page 4 and 6 of the Daily Nation. Now, the story that we'll be covering extensively right here on Lookuptv on our website at www.lookuptv.co.ke. Shakahola death massacre, or Shakahola massacre, essentially, that has broken the 400 mark. That story has been covered on our page 9, and how Kenya is turning out into a conduit of illegal South Sudan treasures. Foreigners rush to Marsabit for precious metal. That story has also been covered on page 9 of the, actually page 12 and 13 of the Standard. All right, on page 3, read how there's a teen crisis report now in the country where millions smoke, drink, and skip school. That story has been covered on our page 3, following that particular headline that we read yesterday on the Daily Nation, that 27 million Kenyans are drunkards. That is 48% of the Kenyan population. And indeed, if you read those details, they said from the ages of 15 to 65, where only 5% are the ones that are drinking legal liquor in the country, with the rest of them in the other ones that the government essentially wants to fight. And Gachagua is saying, if we don't do that, an entire race is going to be wiped out. Those are the major stories on the back pages of the Standard. See whether they have any news for Manchester United. No. I'll be telling you why. Take another tiny breather. Once we come back, we'll be jumping straight to the newsroom, where I'll get to tell you what it is that you are waking up to this morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Now, Lugari Member of Parliament Nabi Nabwera has called on the DCI to arrest threat CS Moses Kuria following his recent statements hinting at a possible assassination of someone believed to be Azimio leader Raila Odinga. Nabera spoke during a sports event at Maturu Primary School in Lugari. And this and more in our news wrap with Stella Kilonzo.
Lugari Member of Parliament Abina Bwera has called on the Directorate of Criminal Investigations DCI to investigate and arrest CS Trade Moses Kuria following his scripted statement that someone will die during the planned Wednesday protest. Kuria's scripted message said atakufa Wednesday 19th na kuzikwa Saturday 29th, a message that is believed to have referred to azimio leader Raila Odinga. Nabwera further stated that Kuria's remarks have the potential to divide the nation along tribal lines, asking Kuria to be apprehended and charged according to the law.
Ujumbe wa Waziri Kuria mtandaoni ya kusema kwamba Right Honorable Raila Odinga atakufa Wednesday. Nataka kulaani hicho kitendo. It is a pity kwamba kuna DCI ambaye hajashika Kuria. Kuria should have gone to write a statement. Alijuaje Raila atakufa on Wednesday? He should be arrested. He should be behind bars. Hata nashanga, if I was the president of the Republic of Kenya, I should have sacked Kuria yesterday. Because anaweza leta mutaharuki katika nchi ambayo iko na amani.
Elsewhere, Isli residents together with the Isli business community and Good Trash organization came together to lead a beautification exercise of Isli and Kamukunji constituency. The youth who took part in the exercise were sensitized on the importance of taking care of the environment as well as providing sustainable tactics to perpetuate the growth of the trees.
Residents wa Isli, cleaning and usafi waga ni personal responsible. Everybody, as a Isli resident, I will urge them to take personal responsibility. You know, they say cleanliness is close to God. I just want to advise and to tell mandugu zangu zote wana resident wote wa Isli take as a personal responsibility.
The rising number of digital money lenders have been identified as one of the major challenges currently facing the saving and credit cooperative organizations. According to Patrick Nyaga, the CIC Insurance CEO, the sector has been facing stiff competition from different lenders and hence the need for innovation.
Of course, you know that most SACCOs are lending to their customers, but we now also know that there are also many other institutions that are lending, not just SACCOs. Banks are there. We now have all these money lenders that are virtual. They are more accessible, you know, and therefore there's really a lot of competition, you know, with the SACCOs. And therefore the big question is, how can SACCOs, you know, look at that competition and be able to survive even with the competition?
Finally, in Lookuptv County, residents are lamenting over the rise of insecurity in the area, despite the heavy presence of police officers in the area. This follows the killing of a national police and a businessman. The rising security cases have left residents in distress and are now calling on the government to move with the speed and ensure the criminals are apprehended. Stella Kilonzo, Lookuptv.
1,500 of residents from Mikindani and Miritini areas of the Jomvu constituency have a reason to smile after the county government issued them with the title deeds for their land. CEC lands in Mombasa County. Mohammed Hussein said that his ministry will make every effort to ensure that the people of Mombasa get title deeds for their land.
1,500 residents from Mikindani and Miritini areas of Jomvu constituency have a reason to smile after they were issued with title deeds. The Minister of Lands in Mombasa County, Mohammed Hussein, said the ministry will make every effort to ensure that people of Mombasa get title deeds for their land. He has also said that the plans to expand the exercise are ongoing to reach all 6 parliamentary constituencies in Mombasa County. The residents of Jomvu constituency expressed their joy after living in those lands without title deeds.
Tunamshukuru sana gavana wetu Abdulswamad, mbunge wetu, MCA wa eneo hili na waziri Amado kuweza kutufanikishia mambo kama haya ili nasi tuweze kuweza wale watoto wetu waweze kuwa na urithi wa sehemu ambayo kwa wanaweza kujivunia nayo.
Hadasa Crystal, Lookuptv.
Members of the county assemblies across the country have now called off their 3-month strike to pave the way for the Senate to investigate their grievances. Through the Association of Members of the County Assemblies, the MCA has agreed to resume their plenaries in the assembly, awaiting recommendation by the Senate.
In May, members of 35 county assemblies downed their tools to agitate for a review of their salaries from the current 86,000 shillings to the previous 165,000 shillings, which was slashed by SRC.
Sema ya kwamba pesa za MCAs zirudishwe pahali zilikuwa. Hii mambo ya tukata mshahara, na umeona hii mambo ambayo tunakuja kuangalia ya oversight. Haiwezi fanyika mtu akiwa hana mileage. Haiwezi fanyika kama una pesa za kutembea. Kwa hivyo ndipo tumesema ya kwamba SRC ambao huwa wanakaa kwa ofisi. Sisi tumeonyesha vile mtu anatakana kufanya kazi. Hawazikae kwa ofisi na kuweka mishahara ya watu. Na unaona yule mtu alikata mshahara tu ni MCA. Hao wengine kwa sababu bunge ndio inawa appropriate mshahara yao. Ndio inawekea marupurupu. Bunge vitu vyo vyote viko sawa. Wakati tumetembea tumeona ya kwamba wabunge wako sawa. Yule mtu ambaye amenyanyazwa na kudhulumiwa ni huyu mtetezi wa wanyonge ambaye ni MCA ambaye anakaa na watu. Hata rais tumemwambia ya kwamba pesa za MCA zirudishwe pahali zilikuwa.
The association accused the County Assembly Forum that is composed of speakers of misleading the SRC on the issue of their salaries and ward fund.
Assemblies ambazo tulikuwa tumeenda on strike ziko 35. Hizi zingine zilifuata speakers kwa sababu ukiangalia kama sasa ya Sebulei haikuvuga hiyo ya Wasinigishu, walifikiria kwamba watakula mshahara ya ati watapewa na speaker wao. Unaona, na ndipo tunasema ya kwamba MCAs tukiweka job group D tusifikirie kama mtu ya D. Fikiria kwanza, you should be pragmatic. Kwa hivyo tunasema MCAs ambao tuko nao tuache kufuata speakers na CAF. Sisi tuko amka na tumesema ya kwamba speakers hata budget ambao wanajipatia ya 5 million tutakata. Tukirudi assembly, CAF should be told ya kwamba hakuna hata dururu itaenda kwa CAF. Tumesema hivyo na sisi kama MCA ndio tuna appropriate. Therefore speakers kwa sababu walijitoa from 265. Sasa wanalipwa 644. Kwa hivyo tumesema ya kwamba sisi hawezi kututumia kama gazi. Kwa hivyo tumesema ya kwamba CAF tunaiwa officially hii wiki tukirudi bunge.
According to the Association Secretary General Stanley Karanja, their meeting with the Senate 2 weeks ago had bore fruits and hence the need to call off the strike. He said that the leaders of AMCA had met the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and the Committee of Devolution in the Senate to discuss their grievances. Stanley was, however, quick to warn that the association would not hesitate to call for another strike if their demands were not met.
Tumeweza kutembelea ofisi kadhaa. Tumetembelea ofisi ya Deputy President, tumetembelea ofisi ya Anne Waiguru ambaye ni ya COG na tumeongea na SRC. Na mwishowe Mungu akatusaidia tukaweza kwenda Senate Committee ya Devolution. SRC ilipewa mwezi moja. Kwa hivyo we are not calling off the strike. Kile tumefanya ni kwamba tumepatia Senate mwezi moja ili iweze kuwa ili tuambie progress. If at all there is no progress, definitely we go back to our strike.
Nushin Mungasia, Lookuptv.
The death toll from the Shakahola cult massacre has risen to 403 after 12 more bodies were exhumed. According to Coast Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha, exhumations are set to resume today. Onyancha says so far 37 more suspects have been rescued, with 258 DNA samples have been analyzed. Police are in the 4th phase of exhumation in the ongoing probe into the Mackenzie cult, whose members are said to have starved themselves in the name of meeting Jesus Christ. Bishop Gilbert Dare is a free man after Nairobi court acquitted him of all the 5 charges in a child theft case. Milimani Senior Principal Magistrate Robinson Ondieki ruled that the prosecution failed to prove its case against the preacher. Dyer was on August 4th, 2017, deported to Kenya from the UK to face child theft cases.
R versus Fijis 1997, Supreme Court Report, Volume number 3, 320. The court held.
Bishop Gilbert Dyer now walks free after being acquitted in a child trafficking case. In the case, Dyer had been charged with 5 counts of stealing 5 children, all aged under 14, between 2002 and 2004 at Mountain View Estate, Nairobi. In his ruling on Monday, Magistrate Robinson Ondieki said the prosecution had failed to establish circumstantial evidence that Gilbert Dyer stole 5 children 2 decades ago.
In the end, it is true the prosecution made a lot of capital out of a number of circumstances in a bid to establish the accused was guilty. But that evidence does not satisfy the legal requirements of circumstantial evidence to warrant the conviction of the accused, and ultimately make a finding that the prosecution has not proved their case in all the counts beyond reasonable doubt, and they acquit the accused person in all the counts under Section 215 of the CPC, and set him free unless otherwise held back. Ask him.
The controversial Kenyan televangelist who claimed he created miraculous pregnancies had been accused of handing children to women struggling to become pregnant. His lawyer, John Sakwa, had submitted that the evidence relied on by the prosecution was marred with inconclusive and inconsistent discrepancies, which cannot mount to safe and secure conviction.
Prior to that, he told the entire world he was innocent, but still he was pressed to come. And the trial, of course, has taken some time, about 5-6 years. But prior to that, this matter actually started in 2004. And until today, it's been hanging around for almost 20 years. But today we are glad that finally the truth has come out, that Archbishop Gilbert Dyer.
The self-styled pastor was deported from the United Kingdom in 2017 after his decade-long legal battle to remain in the country failed. Addressing the media after his release, Dyer said that he has forgiven his prosecutors, saying that he is going back to the UK to continue with his ministry.
I'm so happy that from today I've been acquitted, and I'm grateful to my wonderful advocate, John Swaka. The case which I was charged with, I was charged of stealing 5 children, which the parents are known. And my wife, who was the one living in the Mountain View house, was also charged with the same charges. By the grace of God, she was acquitted, led in that court by John Swaka. Despite of all those kind of evidence that the children which was claimed as stolen, the woman who was found with them was acquitted, still there was another power that forced the British government. Of course, yes, my strength has been in the UK. I'll be back to the UK, and the UK people expect me soon. God bless you so much. Thank you.
In 2011, Mary Dyer, Bishop Dyer's then wife, was jailed after being found guilty of stealing a baby from the Kenyatta Referral Hospital and falsely stating she had given birth to the baby. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Kitui East Member of Parliament Nimrod Mbai has denied allegations of assaulting a Kenya Power officer. Asserting he is innocent, Mbai, who claims to be a pastor, stated that he had no knowledge of the incident in question and claimed that the video footage had been tampered with. The legislator, however, said he was not sorry, that given another chance, he would handle the situation similarly. The Member of Parliament was speaking outside EACC offices after he had been summoned by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
The corridors of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission had a guest today. Kitui East Member of Parliament Nimrod Mbai. Mbai walked in and out of the glass rotating doors to answer to questions of his integrity over a recent assault incident of a Kenya Power employee identified as Engineer Julius Ogangi. The Kitui East legislator denied being involved despite being captured on video. The July 3rd evening incident in Acacia area of Kitengela in Kajiado County occurred after the two parties disagreed when the Kenya Power officials discovered an illegal electricity connection to Mbai's home.
No, I never assaulted anyone. Yeah. Do I look like assaulting anybody? I'm a pastor. Yeah, I don't pastor actually.
The lawmaker appeared before the commission's officers at the Integrity Center, Nairobi, where he was questioned by the officers probing the incident. He, however, distanced himself from the allegations of assaulting the Kenya Power officer and later recorded a statement.
I would say, what I would say, yeah?
Was that you?
What do you think?
No, Mheshimiwa. According to the video, that's what you want to know. Was that
Mheshimiwa? I don't know which video you are talking of.
The video is online, it's everywhere.
Which one? There are so many videos of me everywhere. I was all over the news yesterday, yes.
Mbai asserted his innocence, stating that he had no knowledge of the incident in question and claimed that the video in question had been manipulated. The lawmaker expressed no remorse, however defended his actions, stating that given another opportunity, he will handle the situation differently. Mbai, a licensed firearm holder, was released last week by police hours after his arrest at Kitengela police station. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv.
Stanley. Now, women leaders of Kenya through Eco Network Africa have called on all leaders and Kenyans at large to maintain peace and sobriety as they carry out demonstrations, saying that the Constitution calls for personal responsibility and they need to safeguard the rights of other people. Speaking during a press conference, the women leaders appealed to the president to protect the lives of all Kenyans and their property in line with the Constitution, which he swore to defend.
As Azimio gears itself for yet another round of protests this week, women leaders of Kenya have come out to call for sobriety during the demonstrations. Through the Eco Network, the leaders have called on the Kenyans and leaders to be responsible as they take on to the streets.
For dialogue so that we can build our economy and the nation together. While we appreciate that all Kenyans have a right to picket, demonstrate, and assemble, we always remember that our constitutions provide that such actions should be carried out peaceably and that participants should be unarmed. The sort of wild behavior by some sections of our people, which we have witnessed recently, and that has resulted in loss of lives and destruction of properties, cannot be condoned. Equally disturbing is the unacceptable use of force by some sections of the law enforcement agencies in their bid to quell the unrest. As a result,
on the state of the nation as far as the cost of living is concerned, the leaders say that the current state of living is high, as majority of leaders can barely afford necessities, which include food and medical services, appealing for calmness and patience from Kenyans as they hope for things to get better soon.
Admittedly, cost of living is high. Majority of Kenyans can barely afford necessities including food, medical services, fuel, and other needs. As a result, Kenyans are hungry and angry. We appeal for calmness and patience. After all, we are people of faith. In time, things will get better. As women of Kenya, we wish to bring to the attention of all Kenyans that as a constitutional democracy, Kenya is a country that's governed by the rule of law. Therefore, everybody is expected to play by these rules.
The cloud of protests still linger across the country. The leaders have called on Kenyans to commit the nation into prayers and practice peace. Maven Getembe, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
The High Court has technically declined to stop the planned azimio protest scheduled for Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. A businessman, Martin Gitau, through lawyer Adriana Gamodo, had moved to court seeking to stop the mass protests announced by the Azimio coalition. Raila Amolo Odinga. Justice Lawrence Mugabe directed that the application and petition be filed in the next 3 days and responses within 10 days, and set the hearing date for July 21st for further directions.
Businessman Martin Gitau, through lawyer Adrian Kamodo, had moved to court seeking to stop the mass protests announced by Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday this week. However, his move to stop the protest has been quashed. Justice Lawrence Mugambi directed that the application and petition be filed in the next 3 days and responses within the next 10 days, and set the hearing date for September 21st for further directions. The court order reads, and I quote, "I have read the petition and notice of motion dated July 17th together with the certificate of urgency, and hereby direct as follows: mention for compliance and further directions on September 21st, 2023. Ordered Justice Mugambi." In his petition, Gitau said if the court does not intervene, he is apprehensive that organizers of the protest will proceed in their unlawful course of violent protest to the detriment of the majority of law-abiding citizens who deserve to carry on with their daily activities without disruptions. The petition reads, in a quote, that whereas Article 37 of the Constitution secures the right to peaceably and unarmed assemble, demonstrate, picket and to present petitions to public authorities, the respondents have abused the said rights and resorted to rioting, hooliganism, vandalism, primitive destruction and mindless conduct that is inherently incompatible with the overall enjoyment of fundamental rights and freedoms, Gitau said in his petition, which he wanted certified urgent to.
Azimio One Kenya coalition has come out to reiterate that the planned peaceful protests for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday this week will go on as planned. A parliamentary group meeting chaired by Azimio leader Raila Odinga called on President William RUTO to recall the Finance Act and lower the cost of living in order to end the planned protests. And as Juliet Chepkoech now reports, the members of parliament also called on the international community to look into excessive use of force by the police during demonstrations.
Government and the opposition blaming each other over last week's chaotic anti-government demonstrations, and with another round of protest expected this week, the opposition through the leader of minority Opiyo Wandayi now says the demonstrations will go ahead as planned, despite threats from the government, as it is their constitutional right to picket.
Protests will go on in line with Article 37 of our Constitution, which, as you all know, provides for freedom of peaceful assembly. Now, Kenya Kwanza claim that protesters are being paid. Now, for anyone to claim that those protesters who came out in hundreds and thousands in places like Emali, Busia, Kitale, Kilifi, Kakamega, Machakos, and Nairobi, among other places, were paid is to be extremely insincere.
While castigating Interior CS Kithure Kindiki over orders to the police to ruthlessly deal with the protesters, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna took a dig at President William RUTO over plans to use hired gangs to attack peaceful demonstrators.
We have received intelligence that in fact senior police officers in the Kenyan Police Command have chosen to ignore the illegal directive that was given by CS Kindiki for police officers to shoot protesters. And that is the reason why the president convened a PG, because he knows the police will not do his dirty work. He has now told his own members of parliament to mobilize people in their constituencies to come and harm protesters.
Opiyo Wandayi took a sweep at the government over the hiring of teachers, while calling on President William RUTO to step aside for failing to implement his agenda as promised to Kenyans during the campaign period.
The government has hired some 55,000 teachers. Now, so what? Even the teachers are crying about the cost of living and high taxes and low salaries. Hiring teachers doesn't reduce the cost of living. Responsible leaders and regimes admit failure of their policies. and quit in the interest of the nation. Don't ask us for solutions. Quit and pave way for a regime that has solutions.
Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi also called for the United Nations to pay close attention to the excessive use of force by the police on demonstrators, while noting that the coalition is still following on the case filed at the International Criminal Court over the conduct of the police during anti-government demonstrations earlier this year.
The United Nations has pronounced itself on the situation in the country, especially on the issue of police brutality and the killings that went on during the demonstration. I want to state very clearly that the earlier petition by azimio to ICC is very active, and we want to encourage the United Nations and ICC to note the events of this week.
Despite President William Ruto strongly condemning anti-government protest, the Azimio la Umoja leaders have now stated the demonstrations will go on as planned, while also calling out police officers for use of excessive force. Juliet Chepkoech, Lookuptv.
That particular story right there by Juliet Chepkoech then introduces the big conversation that we are getting into this morning. So the courts are clear that we're not going to stop the Azimio protests. But what is the president saying? The president is saying that he is not going to allow that nonsense in the country. What is the DP saying? The DP is saying whatever happens, happens. What is the interior CS, Kithure Kindiki, saying? He's saying we failed the country, and this time around we are going to react. That's what we start this morning then. What is the Azimio plan, and who is going to offer a solution? Join us online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I already do see Prof. Fredo Gola with us right here in the studio. We're going to get into that conversation shortly. Good morning.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
The county government of Nyeri, with approval of His Excellency the Governor, Mutahi Kahiga, has granted 100% waiver on all interest and penalty accrued on all outstanding land rates. Property owners in Nyeri County are advised to take advantage of the waiver period that starts from 30th June 2023 and ends on 28th July 2023 on condition that the principal rates are paid in full. Property owners are advised to obtain invoices from the Sub-County Revenue Office where the property is located and make payment by depositing cash or banker's check to a bank account. Take notice that once the waiver period lapses, the county government will institute all necessary measures to recover any unpaid rates and penalties, including repossessing the property.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home.
When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
And Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. So it is on. That is what the Azimio coalition is saying, that we are not going to stop. And after the example of last week, they're saying we want to repeat it for 3 days this week, starting tomorrow. If indeed the country is going to witness what it witnessed last week, in those 20 plus counties, then indeed we have to talk. For the very first time during this protest, we've lost lives that are not 1 or 2. We did lose 7 lives for Kenyans during those protests. That has got the government talking and the Azimio coalition talking. But it's not just the government and the Azimio coalition that are talking, the courts are also talking. Let's listen in to this story by Juliet Kiage, which is essentially going to introduce our conversation this morning. Then after that, we'll start to ask pertinent questions. There's a good thing that our Prof is right here with us this morning, so we can get to weigh in on this particular issue. The Azimio coalition is saying protests are on, but what are their arguments? Let's take a look at this story.
Government and the opposition blaming each other over last week's chaotic anti-government demonstrations, and with another round of protest expected this week, the opposition through the leader of minority Opiyo Wandayi now says the demonstrations will go ahead as planned despite threats from the government, as it is their constitutional right to picket.
Protests will go on in line with Article 37 of our Constitution, which, as you all know, provides for freedom of peaceful assembly. Now, Kenya Kwanza claimed that protesters are being paid. Now, for anyone to claim that those protesters who came out in hundreds and thousands in places like Emali, Busia, Kitale, Kilifi, Kakamega, Machakos, and Nairobi, among other places, were paid is to be extremely insincere.
While castigating Interior CS Kithure Kindiki over orders to the police to ruthlessly deal with the protesters, Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna took a dig at President William Ruto over plans to use hired gangs to attack peaceful demonstrators.
We have received intelligence that in fact senior police officers in the Kenyan Police Command have chosen to ignore the illegal directive that was given by CS Kindiki for police officers to shoot protesters. And that is the reason why the president convened a PG, because he knows the police will not do his dirty work. He has now told his own members of parliament to mobilize people in their constituencies to come and harm protesters.
Opiyo Wandayi took a sweep at the government over the hiring of teachers while calling on President William Ruto to step aside for failing to implement his agenda as promised to Kenyans during the campaign period.
The government has hired some 55,000 teachers. Now, so what? Even the teachers are crying about the cost of living and high taxes and low salaries. Hiring teachers doesn't reduce the cost of living. Responsible leaders and regimes admit failure of their policies and quit in the interest of the nation. Don't ask us for solutions. Quit and pave way for a regime that has solutions.
Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi also called for the United Nations to pay close attention to the excessive use of force by the police on demonstrators, while noting that the coalition is still following on the case filed at the International Criminal Court over the conduct of the police during anti-government demonstrations earlier this year.
The United Nations has pronounced itself on the situation in the country, especially on the issue of police brutality and the killings that went on during the demonstration. I want to state very clearly that the earlier petition by azimio to ICC is very active, and we want to encourage the United Nations and ICC to note the events of this week.
Despite President William Ruto strongly condemning anti-government protest, the Azimio la Umoja leaders have now stated the demonstrations will go on as planned, while also calling out police officers for use of excessive force. Juliet Chepkoech, Lookuptv.
That's the story then. They've met their demands. Prof, let's begin with that particular one. But just before we jump in, I want us to take a look at exactly what the dailies are calling it this morning. Yes. And I want us to start with the Daily Nation. In fact, if you move away from that big headline that is saying enough is enough, there is now the second headline that is talking about how the country's fate lies in the hands of this gentleman. They go right ahead to put in Raila Amolo Odinga right there. Then there's the President, William Ruto. And then there's Interior CS, Kithure Kindiki. There's Intelligence Boss, Nordin Haji. And then there's Police Chief, Japheth Koome. Good. That's exactly what they're saying. Then we jump to the Standard this morning, and they're saying that pressure is mounting on Uhuru over Azimio protests. Prof, if you put those headlines together, then the Daily Nation then just omitted one man. Yes. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, on the men whose the fate of the country lies on. Then that's where essentially where the questions begin. In this sense then, if indeed we have earmarked the men who are responsible for the way the country is looking right now, or is bound to look like from tomorrow all the way to Friday, why can't we get a solution in this sense, Prof? Number one, arrest Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Number two, let them call the Azimio protest organizers into a table so that they can negotiate, because it's clear then, whichever way the country goes, that there are men in this country who might have a solution.
Yeah. Simba, the most powerful phone in this country is not Uhuru Kenyatta's phone. It's not Raila Odinga's phone. The most powerful phone line is William Ruto's phone, unfortunately. And according to me, the Standard has got it wrong by putting pressure on Uhuru Kenyatta. That's not his pressure. The symbol of unity,
Yes.
the symbol of harmony, peace, is the president, is the constitution, is State House, is not Raila Odinga. Opposition is not a symbol of unity, and that's not their role. In fact, any opposition trying to create unity in a country becomes irrelevant very fast. According to me, the person who should be magnanimous is William Ruto. The person who has everything to gain by bringing the country back is William Ruto. And the person who has everything to lose by letting the country go to anarchy is William Ruto. If I was your president at this time, what do I have to lose? I'm the president between now and 2027. One thing I could have done was to call Raila and ask him to bring his petition to me. In fact, it can be organized. Bring the petition to me. If he tells Raila to bring the petition tomorrow to him, and that can be organized by state missionary, the like of Kindiki and the rest, you can escort those azimio leaders up to right in front of State House. And then take 5, 6 of them, enter State House. Bring petition to him, then they make a presidential address together. And tell the nation, we have taken the petition. Give me X days. I'll respond to the petition. The country will at least have 7 days to have a chance to do the right thing or not. There's what you call option theory. Option theory, Simba, is to do something to allow you to do something or not do something. Let me explain. If you go home, Simba, I don't know whether you are married, I have no idea, then your wife tells you something which is annoying to you. In option theory, you can tell her, sweetheart, bring me a bottle of water, I drink. See, as she's bringing water, you are thinking, you are processing. Probably you can say, let me not answer in anger, then tell her, my dear, we can have lunch tomorrow and discuss about that matter. It has given you a chance to do something. So by just giving this petition, do something. I'm asking William Ruto, please, do something to allow us not to get it wrong tomorrow. Whatever that could be is, you know it yourself. You have advisors. You have so many of them. And we have given advice every now and then that I can tell you the headline is putting pressure on the wrong person. And let me tell you what, this is not even good for Kenya because President Uhuru Kenyatta is a peace envoy for Africa. He negotiated peace in DRC. He negotiated peace in Ethiopia. And let me tell you what, Simba, I know Uhuru Kenyatta personally. He is not the leader who will finance this. And in fact, the people saying that Uhuru is financing this demonstration is wrong. 40 million shillings he said to have funded this thing is not true. Let me ask you, if you saw demonstration, for me, you are a logical person. There's what you call well-organized and orchestrated demonstration, but this demonstration came very sporadically, to the extent that you could not say someone financed them. Do you know what it means to pay people in all counties, in all towns in Kenya? Do you know an operation? Even within Lookuptv now, paying salaries every month is an operation. And we are not very many.
Yes.
What about paying everybody in all cities in Kenya? It needs like a military operation. And that's why you see intelligence being put. The intelligence person needs to come with intelligence report how these people are paid. That's why they're there. Kindiki is in charge of interior. And also you have to realize that Kindiki is running the most corrupt ministry in government. That is a fact. And I'm not talking for my theories. Go to EACC report. The most corrupt ministry is internal security followed by health. Can policemen, I talk to them, some of them telling me even they feel like demonstrating, but they can't do because of their job. Because remember they are throwing tear gas, but the tear gas is hitting who? When you shoot a bullet, do you have a bullet that chooses your relatives, ignores your friends, and hits an enemy? This bullet can hit your own child. This tear gas can tear gas your uncle, your mother. They are human beings. Policemen are Kenyans like us. So the showdown taking place tomorrow is between Kenyans versus Kenyans, which means it is killing Kenyans. I wouldn't agree. The pressure should go to the president. He's the one who has absolute authority. Remember, He is the one who swore to the Constitution. He has to protect it.
Yes.
And for me, the pressure is being piled to the wrong person. The question will be asked, and I like what Lookuptv said on the poster we have today. What next for RUTO? That is the question. Not for Raila, not for Uhuru. Raila has looked at it, and let me explain this a little bit. Raila has looked at the situation and found that the only language the president understands is Mandamano. Because they had bipartisan. How did it collapse? Lack of objectivity, lack of genuineness, lack of honesty. The president called for bipartisan. Raila Odinga said, let's do it. He named his team. He came up with the terms of reference. It never happened. So the only language this guy understands is what? Mandamano.
Who should be giving the terms of the bipartisan talks, Prof?
Is it the person? Aggrieved.
Is
they aggrieved, yes.
In normal negotiations, don't you think that if you are going to give the terms as aggrieved, then the other person is getting a raw deal because you're making demands from somebody you are not allowing to give terms?
It's a negotiation.
Yes.
You go with your terms. Let's say, like today, I've written a very nice article in the Business Daily, saying trade negotiations look like dowry. I was asked to pay dowry. There was a dowry negotiation in Taita community, and they told me I need to go and cook for them. And I told them that for Luos, for us, we respect our in-laws. You cannot cook an in-laws home. So let's negotiate how we shall do it. But what is happening, the people need to eat. Let's focus on what we need to get. So in negotiations, somebody counts their terms, and terms can be revised. What were the counter terms that came from Kenya Kwanza? Are you aware of any? I didn't see any. So what I'm talking about is that we have reached here because of the insincerity of the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Yes.
When they said they were going for bipartisan, it didn't happen. When we came for the National Accord, even let's start from the first president who had negotiation with Raila was Moi. Moi came in an MOU led to making Raila become minister for energy. I don't know what.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Actually became energy and public works.
Public works,
together.
Isn't
yes.
it? It was clear Moi was sincere more than RUTO. We go now to Kibaki. National Accord. It was implemented to the last bit. The second one was handshake. It was implemented to the last bit. So what is it that...
Is that what RUTO doesn't want to do? And in the precipice of law, Prof, is it right for us to pretend that it's okay again for one President RUTO to go back and talk to one Raila Amolo Odinga?
Actually, at Operation Dogatuzi, we said we don't want bipartisan talks. Kenya is a multi-party democracy, meaning why they say multi-party means there are very many parties, and the party are not political parties. There's private sector, there's public sector, there's religious bodies, there's civil society. We want a national dialogue. In fact, it's been clear that we want to move away from handshake brothers between two people to a handshake nation.
Yes.
When the nation handshakes, it will be very many hands, not two hands.
Yes.
And that will solve our problem. Civil society will handshake together with religious leaders, together with political leaders, private sector and public sector. Look here, when shops are being closed tomorrow, is it only politicians suffering? It's business people also suffering. Politicians also business people in Kenya. So everybody is suffering. Civil society is suffering. So why do we make it between Raila Odinga and William RUTO when it can be a national handshake rather than brotherhood handshake?
Yes.
We want it to be national. But also just to explain here what is important, that who should be giving terms in this way or the other. William RUTO has got everything. He has a government. He's not looking for anything. It's Raila Odinga who claims that his election was stolen. And I'd said it before, and people still take me for granted. And I said this, Simba, I'm thinking you heard that Raila Odinga has to legitimize President William RUTO so that Kenya can move on. If not, we are still in an election mode.
Does that? And is that what we Kenyans are trying to move away from?
Yes, because, no, this is important. Even in the US,
yes.
Do you know why they talk about concessional speech? Concessional speech is to legitimize your competitor to have won. It is not constitutionally required, like Trump didn't do it against Joe Biden. But you see now Trump is coming back with other things. So if Raila Odinga just made a speech and said, congratulations, Mr. President. That was important. Just that.
But what is supreme, Prof? What is supreme? And that's the question that the other side is asking. What is supreme? Because if you start asking questions about the presidency of Dr. William Ruto, it is followed every little step up to the courts.
Yes.
Where the Azimio coalition were actually there trying to represent themselves and fighting to death to actually have their way. And they did not.
Simba.
Yes.
That is a legal license to rule. But there's a called a social license to rule.
Which is essentially constitutional. Legal is constitutional.
Yes,
Prof,
but let me tell you what, Simba.
Yes.
And I can give an example. You can win a concession to do what's called mining in Turkana. And you can get all the legal papers with you, isn't it? But if Turkana people don't give you their blessing, you might not extract anything from there. And let me ask you again. Again, I'm saying, I don't know if you are married or not. You could be married and you have a marriage certificate.
True.
And your wife doesn't recognize you as the husband. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the certificate or you prefer her recognition? In her heart, not in her words, but in her heart. So that's why the social license is important by the opposition coming and said, like Raila Odinga, by the way, said, I don't agree with the decision of the Supreme Court, but I accept, isn't it? Let us go to the ancients why we are here. Raila said this statement, I don't agree with the ruling of the Supreme Court, but I accept it, isn't it? That time, Raila was moving on, isn't it? Now what happened? This government started inviting opposition by saying, I want a strong opposition. Is it not William Ruto said he wants a strong opposition?
True that.
Is it not that cost of living has come, now Raila is coming as a savior to the nation? This thing has ceased to be Raila. In fact, the headlines are telling it's misleading. If Kenyans are having food on their tummies, they will not go to demonstration.
Yes.
Because they are saying, bullet can kill us. But hunger is killing us anyway. So we shall die anyway.
Yes. This is how they bring Uhuru Kenyatta into this conversation, Prof. That in places that previously this country has never seen demonstrations. I want to pick one point. And that's what the Kenya Kwanza government said. If you saw exactly what happened in Mlolongo, they said that since it's the very first time this thing is happening, we are more than convinced that somebody is on the ground making sure that every other thing that's happening in the country is well organized and well sponsored to the point that in places where we've never seen demonstrations before, we are now witnessing those demos.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
On Tuesday, before the demonstration was happening on Sunday, I was with another taxi driver, Uber driver who picked me. And this Uber driver comes from Central. What he told me surprised me. He told me, Fred, ninyi Wajaluo nitaonyesha vile tunafanyanga maandamano. It is all of us waiting for it. In fact, even the taxi driver who drove me, I was going to work for another company in Zanzibar on Wednesday. So the taxi driver who took me to airport told me, Fred, let me tell you the truth. Mimi, this is my last trip. After this, I'm going to put my car aside. We are demonstrating. And people were demonstrating on Wednesday for many different reasons. You know, when there's multiplicity of reasons, there must be multiplicity of demonstrators. For example, the young people who are saying that they are hustlers who are cheated.
Yes.
The boda-bodas who are promised things that have never happened. The mamambogas who are promised things they never got. Raila Odinga and Azimio who believe the elections were stolen. The people who believe they were promised NHIF in the first month after election, these promises, you hand them. None of them has been fulfilled. Kenyans are feeling defranchised. People went to demonstrate for very many reasons. Even there were doctors who went to demonstrate. There are teachers who are on demonstration.
Yes.
So public servants are also defranchised. I can even tell you now, Simba, there are some people in public sector who comes meet public sector working for the government who comes and tell me, Fred, we have an issue with the government, but we can't go to court. Go to court on our behalf. I have gone to court severally on behalf of people inside the government who are feeling defranchised. They are being told to do things which they can't do. Like, for example, Huduma number. Huduma number costs Kenyans 6.5 billion shillings, isn't it? Now they are being told they are putting a budget 11.5 billion shillings to do as another similar thing called UPI in Pakistan using a company called Nadra. All the data for Kenya will be sitting in Pakistan from your birthday. your school going, your bank transactions, your M-Pesa transactions, your education, everything will be taken in Pakistan with a public sector company. It's a national security issue. So somebody inside the system has come to me and I went to court. The case is ongoing, so this is not sugarcoating. So Kenyans have different issues with the president. Look at the issue of logging of trees. So some people who are concerned about forests will demonstrate. So when Raila says mandamano, you come to demonstrate against the trees. Some people come because of health, some come because of education. Then it's just like the nation reacting. Look, 93% of Kenyans have said in a survey released by TIFA that the country is going in the wrong direction. Those statistics have been sponsored by Uhuru Kenyatta. Was Uhuru Kenyatta surveyed to confirm that 93% of Kenyans are not happy? In God we trust, the rest bring data. Let them tell us how much money did Uhuru Kenyatta finance? Who are the people who are giving money? Because when RUTO went to Homa Bay, we were given photos how people are being given 1,000 shillings each the night before to attend. We have that information. Let them give us how Uhuru Kenyatta moved money from which account to which individual to distribute. I told you, distributing money in this country. Simba, if I give you, I used to run political campaigns, and I would go to a ward and tell people, now I have, for example, one weekend you spend 1 million shillings, isn't it? Here is 1 million. I want to distribute to these people. Can I give you? But please don't give me. Distributing money is a military operation because you can be beaten. Carrying money is a military operation. Like I had to leave Nairobi, go somewhere in the bank, and have them in 200 shillings each. That was a one-day work. 1 million to convert to 200 shillings each and carry them to Siaya, and then give people to distribute to you. The people in a line, those who want to go to the line 10 times, those who want to take the man, run with your security. It is a military operation. Let us not be cheated here. If you know, you know. Let them bring evidence, Simba.
Pretty much. Now, the conversation that we're going to have immediately after we go for this tiny break right here with our prof, again, is essentially what the Azimio coalition is saying this morning. In fact, they're saying now, you see, we were at the table, we wanted to talk about the solutions on the issues that we are now in the streets for. And this is what Upio Wandanyi is saying. He's saying, do not ask us for protest. And he's even saying, look here, all those allegations about how we are sponsoring this protest is a complete lie. Why? Because if you look at how our demos are now getting organized, they are widespread across the country. So it's not only us, but it's Kenyans who are also coming out to say, well, indeed, we want to participate. Kithure Kindiki is saying this. I'm not going to allow that nonsense that we saw the other day. One, President RUTO said this. I will not allow this protest to continue in this country. But what the court saying? Once we come back, we're going to look at this story because indeed now majority of Kenyans are worried about the ongoing protests in the country. There's a businessman who went to court to know what the High Court said. We're not going to stop it. So which way out? If we can't see arrests, we can't see people taken to prison because of it. The only thing we're seeing is threats from both sides. Once we come back right here on The Morning Drift online and Lookuptv across all your social media platforms, I am Kiage. Simba. Good morning.
Once again, tuko hapa Angel Center for Abandoned Kids, all because of you.
My name is Catherine Wanjiru. I am the admin, Angel Center for Abandoned Children. Our founder is Wamaitha Mwangi. We currently have 64 children, 32 going to school, and among those 32, 2 are special children, and we are left at the home with 32. Now the toddlers and the infants. To the RUTO Foundation, thank you so much for remembering us. Guys, we lack words. We don't know what to say. Thank you for remembering us. You made a promise and you have delivered. And may God bless you. To my fellow Kenyans, as usual, cheza RUTO. sio ndoto. Angel Center tumeshinda Lotto.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the Lotto Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
The future is hands-on, and Sensei College is at the front line of technical institutes in Kenya, offering practical and skill-based courses accredited by all concerned bodies, TVETA, NTSA and NITA. Sensei College offers driving and plant operator, cosmetology, fashion and design, mechanics, hydroponics and irrigation, installation, building construction, hospitality, photography and video production, electrical and electronics repairs, and ICT courses. Get free plant operator training when you enroll for plant mechanics, free driving when you enroll for motor vehicle mechanics, and free riding when you enroll for motorcycle mechanics. The requirement is an ID only, with intakes every first week of the month. We have 2 campuses in Nakuru and Nairobi. We provide meals and accommodation. Sensei College. My skills, my future.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lelima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lelima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. The hashtag is the morning drip. Use that. We're still here with our prof, really looking at the intrigues of the question. So what next? That is William Ruto. That's the question we're asking this morning. He's already made himself clear about what he thinks about the demos. He's already made his threats. So everybody's looking at him saying, when are you gonna live true to your threats? Not the very first time that we've seen the president animated about what he thinks about the ongoing demos in the country. No, not the very first time. But in terms of active action from the government to stop the demos, that's why a majority of government officials, by the way, even one, Kithure Kindiki, admitting that indeed the reactions on the demos that happened the other day, that is on Wednesday, essentially were a failure to majority of Kenyans. Now, Kenyans have taken this issue on their hands and they're running to court now to stop the Azimio coalition from going to the streets. There's a ruling that was made by the High Court yesterday, and I'd like us to go back to that story this morning, take a look at it, because that essentially informs the next part of our conversation this morning on the legality of the Azimio protests, and if they are legal, is that why we've seen nobody among the Azimio coalition leaders getting arrested and taken to courts for prosecution? Let's take a look at this story. Once we come back, Prof. Ogola is still with us.
Businessman Martin Gitau, through lawyer Adrian Kamodho, had moved to court seeking to stop the mass protest announced by Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday this week. However, his move to stop the protest has been quashed. Justice Lawrence Mugambi directed that the application and petition be filed in the next 3 days and responses within the next 10 days, and set the hearing date for September 21st for further directions. The court order reads, and I quote, "I have read the petition and notice of motion dated July 17th together with the certificate of urgency, and hereby direct as follows: mention for compliance and further directions on September 21st, 2023. Ordered Justice Mugambi." In his petition, Gitau said if the court does not intervene, he is apprehensive that organizers of the protest will proceed in their unlawful course of violent protest to the detriment of the majority of law-abiding citizens who deserve to carry on with their daily activities without disruptions. The petition reads in a quote that whereas Article 37 of the Constitution secures the right to peaceably and unarmed assemble, demonstrate, picket and to present petitions to public authorities, the respondents have abused the said rights and resorted to rioting, hooliganism, vandalism, primitive destruction and mindless conduct that is inherently incompatible with the overall enjoyment of fundamental rights and freedoms, Gitau said in his petition, which he wanted certified urgent to.
Essentially saying then that the demos could go on. So all the pronouncements of President William Ruto, all the sentiments of Kithure Kindiki, and the police boss essentially was gone ahead to declare the azimio protest illegal, according to the courts, null and void. So let the demos go on. That particular petition to be listened at a later date. If you look at the developments in the court system as well in the country, is that after the first demos that happened for the Azimio coalition, majority of the demonstrators were arrested, but the DPP essentially saw no reason to continue with charges because the courts have essentially been releasing majority of the demonstrators again. Prof. So if the courts are telling the president, well, regardless of what you're saying you can't allow in this country, for us, we're reading from the law, we're reading from the Constitution, they are going to go on. Police force comes in and says, well, we declare them illegal, but the courts read on a different script. They say, well, we don't know where you're reading your pronouncements from. As much as we are concerned, they are legal and they're going to go on.
Yeah.
Is that why we've not seen any key arrests in the country? Because all the noise then we're getting from the Kenya Kwanza side would essentially just be classified again, for lack of a better word, noise.
Yeah. History is beautiful. In fact, Simba, as a strategist, a good student in his strategy must be good in history.
Yes.
In the history of this nation, no case has succeeded. Because normally when you go to court, you are charged of unlawful assembly, isn't it?
Yes.
Destruction of property. It's been since independence. Even Raila Odinga was arrested for the same reasons. They have never succeeded. And that's why even during Moi, there was what we call unlawful detention, meaning that you are detaining them because there's nothing in law that can succeed against anybody who was demonstrating. Because it's protected, the right protected in the Constitution. In fact, for me, the fact that these people are still making noise like that, it just shows how ignorant, arrogant, imposing, and the disrespect of law that they are. From the president, deputy president, to Kindiki, to the inspector general, all those people are breaking law. The only that can succeed, if I go to court now and sue the inspector general for having unlawfully declared mass action illegal, that can be heard, because that can be stated in court, because he said it's illegal. Which chapter in Constitution is quoting? What's the illegalities? Kithure Kindiki even went to declare a curfew on a mandamano. The law will state the parameters under which there can be a curfew. He says the curfew is between 7 and 6 p.m. in the evening. What is a curfew? Curfew is declared when there is what's called a security threat, isn't it? And the security threat should not be potential. It should be real. We can't say that we suspect, for example, we suspect tomorrow you are going to break the law, let us arrest you. No, you can't do that. Because how do you suspect? If it's in my mind, we are going for peaceful demonstration, peaceful. Now, the only thing is that all of them turn out violent, but the violent part is, it is not only about the protesters, it is twofold. Because when people are going to the street, the policemen are going to the street, Kenyans are going to the street, the outcome will depend on the behavior of each of them. The person declaring the protest actually cannot be said they have broken the law. So I can tell you, if I'm president, I will just be humble enough and find a solution to this maandamano. Because Raila has known that dawa yako ni maandamano. And he will do it every day.
Yes. Some analysts prophesying that maandamano is not going to work at the end of the day. And I want you to read into what the president has always spoken about every time the Azimio coalition has threatened to go out and organize the demos. Let me take you back to the very first one that they announced. And I know President William Ruto said, I'm going to show them this time who the president is. So what happened, the Azimio coalition did not listen, did not heed to that threat. They went to the streets, they organized their demos. Last weekend as well, he said, I'm not going to allow this nonsense going on in this country. I'm going to show them as well why I'm the president of the Republic of Kenya. Again, you get this feeling that nobody is reading again.
But, Simba, just to be honest, only stupid Kenyans still listens to President Ruto's statements that I won't allow this and allow that. Let's start look at it. Look at the Baragoi. He goes there, flies in a chopper, military plane, and says, you will know who I am, isn't it? Before he lands into Nairobi, bombarded. Is it not true? This evidence. He went there and told them, try me. That clip, you have it. Try me, isn't it? And before he landed in Nairobi, they had tried him. What did he do? He has gone quiet on that, isn't it? These people make statements they can do. In fact, let me tell you what, and this is take to the bank. If Ruto has no advisors, let me advise him. What made Raila whom he is nothing else other than unlawful arrest. Raila was being arrested for maandamano. This is what has made Raila. So whatever he's doing, he's making Raila bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
This is a monster. The more you threaten him, you make him bigger. If you feed a monster gets bigger. If you starve a monster, it gets smaller.
Do you feel this time around that the situation might be different, Prof? Going by how the Wednesday demos then
just
were
give me
carried
time,
out?
I'll also explain to you a little bit.
Yes.
According to my intelligence, which I think is good enough, the demonstration that took place on Wednesday last week, there were many people demonstrating for different reasons. For example, how comes all the Kenyans who are killed with a bullet were stray bullets? There's no bullet who was aimed at anyone and they killed that person. What were these bullets aiming at? Does it make sense that all the people who died of stray bullets, but who are targeted and died? So either policemen in Kenya have not known how to target the bullets, isn't it? You see, it does make sense, isn't it? Secondly, there were some demonstrations which were more damaging that were completely no arrest, no harassment. For example, the people who did damage of the expressway, they did it in broad daylight. They were completely undisturbed, completely unharassed, completely untear-gassed, and completely unarrested. So what I'm trying to say is that there were some demonstrations which, from my intelligence, were organized by Kenya Kwanza. Now they're trying to say the damage was too big now, we can't allow it. I'm telling you, there's a lot of politics in this demonstration.
This is what Kithure Kindiki is saying, that indeed is red fatigue into the police force in the country in terms of managing these demos.
They did it intentionally. Because can you tell me the police intelligence could not tell that there were people in expressway? They could not tell there was a plan because Kenyans are very easy. They even chat on WhatsApp group and say tomorrow to tender expressway to Peleke Chini. So these things they know. So I'm telling you, there are some demonstrations which could only be organized by a government. They were so well executed and so well protected that they were done. For example, look at 2020-2007. There were two types of demonstration. One was Raila Odinga, William Ruto and his gangs were demonstrating against Kibaki government. At the same time, there were demonstrations which were being done by the government people against the opposition. I was in Mombasa at that time. I know the guys who are organizing demonstration protected by police. So this demonstration had the same thing, like Eldoret is where Ruto has been banned for, is where he organized against the government, isn't it? But if you look also, Uhuru Kenyatta was being accused for having organized again other gangs against Kenyans. And Uhuru Kenyatta was on the side of government.
Yes.
So history repeats itself. That's why, allow me just to explain something which worries me. What worries me now in this demonstration is not about whether Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto is saying the truth or not. What worries me is that it's been orchestrated, it's beginning to look like 207, 208. Why? There was a PG meeting, parliamentary group meeting, in State House, chaired by the president. And the statement there was that how MPs can use their supporters to counteract azimio demonstrators, isn't it? Yesterday, there was a PG at Jaramogi Oginga Foundation of azimio MP saying the protest is on. Remember, in the ICC case, was that you have to prove there was a meeting that planned the deaths. You understand?
Yes.
That's why Operation Gatuzi has gone to ICC to put a case. We have already put a petition yesterday to ICC to come and avert this case. And also we've told them, come to the country, collect data, because they're going to happen on Wednesday. Don't wait to come collect data which has disappeared after some time. Send your officers. Actually, they will come. They promise us they're going to come by today. They're going to collect data on what will happen on Wednesday. Because look, the meeting took place State House. They said, let's go on. Police officers, Kindiki and these guys have said, we will give you support. You understand? So the protesters from Kenya Kwanza side on their MPs, they will be backed and defended by the police service, the security service. That's true. That's what happens. The Azimio supporters will be facing the Kenya Kwanza protesters,
yes,
anti-protest forces,
yes,
backed by the police. We can see bloodbath. You understand? And that's why I have made calls even to NCC. They're supposed to have a press conference today. They are looking for how to meet the president today with a view of convincing him to withdraw these things so that there is no protest. So I'm still praying, Simba, from my heart, that we don't go to protest on Wednesday.
Yes.
So I'm still having some 50-50 chance that there might be no demonstration on Friday, on Wednesday, because we can see the making of a bloodbath.
That indeed, if we're going to say that the protests have been successful, that is us saying that Raila Amolo Odinga and the Azimio coalition have forced the president to act. But if you look at the hangers-on, or on the Kenya Kwanza government, we like to call them the president's boys, they are hell-bent on not giving audience to Raila Amolo Odinga. That indeed, everything that we're going to do, we have to follow it constitutionally. That is why, upon the suggestion that whatever it is that the bipartisan negotiations we're going to come up with, they still had to go to Parliament to be debated upon, and whatever was going to pass would have passed following the law, and that's what they did not want. Is that the scenario that now RUTO doesn't want to lose to Raila Amolo Odinga, essentially giving us a picture of a stronger, better president?
Yeah, I see. Simba was on set when I told you, and this is similar to the Finance Act. The Finance Act was crafted that it is no longer about the economy, it was Raila versus Ruto. We end up passing a draconian Finance Act that now is being repealed. Even we have a petition. In as much as Okiya Omtata has repealed that it should be suspended, Operation Gatuzi has found 160 clauses in the Constitution which have been faulted, and it will be withdrawn altogether. So this one also, the motion is, you see the headline, the two men facing each other. It is Ruto versus Raila. So the supremacy battles is between the two of them. Unfortunately, none of them will die, but a Kenyan will die. So this is a bad way to frame issues. That is Raila Odinga versus Ruto. Let us look for who needs to win. One, Professor George Saitoti said there comes a time when the nation becomes more important than individuals. And for now, it is not about between Raila and Ruto who wins. Should Kenya lose so that the two individuals succeed, Simba? I'm looking at it from the Kenyan perspective. Kenya needs to win tomorrow. And so long as there's no mass action tomorrow, I don't care who has won or lost. In fact, the supporters of William Ruto should also bear with me this fact. And supporters of Raila Odinga should also bear with us this fact. It's not about Raila Odinga winning. At least I don't want to disclose, but you know that in Kenya, somebody falls on either side. But for me, even if I was in Ruto's side or Raila's side, I'm not concerned about their winning. Ruto has won already, he's the president. Raila has won already because Raila has been a serious politician, he has a legacy. Raila has an earth-shaking legacy. So for me, magnanimity is what should win tomorrow.
Yes, even as we talk about losing and not winning, say Raila Odinga has also changed till now.
Yeah.
He's again gone back and said, as we demonstrate, we are also going to collect 10+ million signatures that would essentially remove that guy from office to show him that Kenyans do not want him in that office, that he is essentially illegitimate. So by the end of the day, is that if indeed then Ruto decides to speak to Raila Odinga, it will be like, I won, so you got to speak to me. Is that not the scenario that is making this situation complicated?
If you ask me, I don't know who are Raila Odinga's advisors. I would advise Raila Odinga, if me, to collect the signatures, first reach 10 million, and then from there, demand that this guy leaves office, and then if not, then he goes for mandamano. It will make more sense than doing them concurrently. Because now people are being focused that, is it mandamano that is going to give you what you want, or the signature collection? I've seen the ODM issued a statement by saying, let us do both. For example, you are praying to God, God, give me a good wife. Isn't it? But for you, instead of waiting for God to give a good wife, you've been looking for one. So God wonders, which one are you waiting for? Are you waiting for my blessing, or you are waiting for your own blessing? And maybe, let's just give an anecdote here. There's a book we says that you cannot cheat God. So there's an atheist who was climbing a mountain. Then by bad luck, he was sliding and almost falling off the cliff. Then fortunately for a moment, he touches a leaf, a branch of a tree, and he's now hanging on it. But the branch starts to break. Then he says, God, I know I don't believe in you, but save me. If you save me on this one, I'll forever believe in you. God said, leave that branch. So when God told him, leave that branch, guess what? Did he leave the branch? No. So you can't cheat God. So what I'm trying to say is Raila Odinga's bet on the signature, or the bet is a mandamano? According to me, the way he launched the signature, the collection is going on very well. He should just focus on those signatures. He can collect them in a few weeks from now. Then from there now put pressure, because Kenyans have given you 10 million signatures. Ruto won with 7.1 million signatures. If you get 10 million signatures, you have legitimized yourself. And use that clause, which is Article 1 of the Constitution, to now negotiate. But on this mandamano thing, you are now being branded as a warlord. First of all, pursue a peaceful one. In fact, if you ask me, Simba, Kenyans need to be educated on what they call non-violent demonstrations, non-violent moves. Mahatma Gandhi did it in India. No single person was shot. Mahatma Gandhi did non-violent movement. It was a powerful movement. It worked with a bigger population. Those options are there. We cannot always going for violent options. But what I'm trying to say here is that Ruto is a different guy. And Raila has discovered that what this guy understands is the chaos that takes place on Mandamano Day.
Or doesn't. Or doesn't, Prof.
Yes. And then
it's not budging, is it?
Yeah. Then the other thing I want to tell you, I think I just forgot the point, but it's important. When you hear that this claim by Kindiki and Kenya Kwanza guys, sorry, that Azimio people are paying protesters throughout the country, let me ask you, which one is cheaper? Azimio lost the election. One reason was that they didn't pay their agents. So if you cannot even pay your agents, why could you spend money on protestants? For me, it does not make sense. It's completely ridiculous. If they are doing it, I'll be extremely shocked with them. But most likely, they are not. You know the kind of style of politician, let's look at Raila Odinga, look at Ruto. These politicians are very different. People love Raila for true. And let us be honest, look at when he appeared on Pronto restaurant in town. He was just in a bus in town. All of a sudden, he was addressing a large crowd. Uhuru Kenyatta, even Gatundu cannot get such a crowd.
Yes.
Isn't it? Then he went to eat nyama choma in Kenyatta Market.
Yes.
They were just in a nyama choma eating thing. All of a sudden, he's addressing a rally. Simba, try to be a politician. To even find 50 people turning up to your rally is a lot of effort. You might get only your wife, your children, and maybe your mother coming, and maybe your driver whom you are paying. It is not easy to get such a crowd. So I'm telling you, for me, people love Raila. This is honesty, isn't it? Ruto is the kind of politician that invests a lot of money, isn't it? And giving people position. That's why you find his government is very heavy with appointees who are being rewarded, because for him, love is give me, I give you, transactional. Raila is true love. You understand? This is true.
Yes.
Even this is what Uhuru feared about Raila, that people just love him.
Prof, I want us to come from the break because our online community has questions that are essentially been to you, and they've been commenting online. That is at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I see you, Vitalis, Chorus. I see you, Mogash, Emmanuel. I see you, Mary Elliot. I see you, Abdullahi, Shaban Mohammed, and then Nelly Franklin as well. I'll be coming back with this particular comments and questions to Prof once we come from this tiny break, because then the last part of our conversation this morning with Prof is going to be, so what next really? Because if indeed the country is going to go down the same way it went last week Wednesday, is the president going to sit back and say, it's all right, let it be, once we come back?
It's time to restart, rescale, and talk about health matters.
If you get exposed to high fluoride between 0 to 12 years, your teeth will be permanently discolored.
Wake up, eat healthy, and keep fit. With the help of health experts, we will help you understand different health conditions and how to treat them.
Dental fluorosis is an irreversible condition that affects the outer layer of your tooth.
This is your health journal. My name is Wanjugu Washira.
Every Wednesday from 8:30 p.m.
Everything will be well discussed here on this platform.
Only on Lookuptv.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
All right, welcome back. Let's then chat the last part of our conversation this morning on our big conversation. Good. Let me read some of your comments. Good morning. Ruto is my president. Do the right always. Upinzani hawafanyi vyema. Sasa ikiwa maandamano since 1997 was 2 years na bado sio ya amani, hakuna na acha kuterrorize uchumi. Na sasa hivi it was not complete, but we do get what Vitalis Koros there was saying. Mogosh Emmanuel saying, good morning, Emmanuel, we see you, thank you very much for watching. Mary Elliot saying, let's not ban our country, RUTO is a must. We have Mandamano for you to listen to Kenyans. That's a proper question. Abdullahi Shaban Mohammed saying, a good speaker and a half congratulations. Nelly Franklin saying, demonstration will not heal the problems we have as a country. In fact, it is causing more harm on the economy and causing a lot of disruption. Watching from Nyandarua, good morning, thank you very much. Chorus again coming, Ruto is my president, do the right thing as always. Good. I've got other responses this morning. Collins Wachia saying, you are too young to know, my friend. Demonstration has healed many things in this country. That is a response to Chorus. Good. Brian Bryo saying, Bahati tunafolo. Mary Mwandemo saying, true Eric Asoti. Thank you very much. You're just essentially saying hi to Prof this morning. We are also glad that you are watching. Good. So if you do hear some of the comments that are coming in, it's a split. That upon the resumption of demonstrations in this country, now a lot of conversations are going on. Now, Prof, going by what a win is for the Azimio coalition, all these PGs that we're talking about, these parliamentary meetings that essentially happened after the Wednesday demonstrations, it looks as if now there is a plan. There is a plan. And there can only be two plans. What do we do to stop the demos? The president's speech is cryptic. You can know exactly what his plan is. He's saying, well, I will not allow this in this country. If that is the plan, I will not allow. How effective is that plan going to be?
So, you see, I was actually in a press conference yesterday and we were asking whether the president is suspending the constitution.
Yes.
For the sake of his interest. Because the way they are talking, if you hear Kindiki speaking, you hear Inspector General speaking, you hear President speaking.
Yes.
Whatever they are speaking is illegal because it's like they have suspended the constitution,
yes,
or at least they have the constitution which we Kenyans don't have. So those chest stamping, these guys have to step down and then having discussions. That's the only way out. And I could tell you one thing, there's what you call the doctrine of necessity.
Yes.
The doctrine of necessity states that when circumstances calls upon leaders in a country, when whatever is at stake is so high that we cannot literally be shouting at the constitution, you can suspend some acts in the constitution and focus on addressing the very thing on the table. So at this time, it happened during the accord. You know, national accord was illegal. It was a part of a part of a constitution. It was like a part of a law put in the constitution to address the necessity. Necessity was that we are going for an election, we have a divided country, we are in a violent mode. The President Kibaki has formed government, Raila Odinga has started government, and there is no peace. So that's why we set up an accord, went against what is called the constitution, and brought what is called the accord, which was responding to what's called the doctrine of necessity. So that's what was done. Now, even the signature collection, Raila can still go and evoke the doctrine of necessity by saying, we do not have to follow how the president declared, because here, Gachagua said, the president is declared by ballot, not signatures. That is the law. But in necessity,
yes,
that's put aside, because even Jesus said in the Bible, was the commandment made for man or man for the commandment? So when human beings are dying on the street because we are following the constitution, or what use is the constitution? Because the constitution should protect life, should protect property. So if property is being damaged, life is being destroyed, and we are holding to the constitution, of what use the constitution when we are losing lives? So we have to think about this critically. So according to me, the way forward is, I agree with the Kenya Kwanza government that the issue of having handshake is not the solution, because we never knew the agreement between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila when they met at the foot of the Harambee House.
That's true.
But for us, we are calling for a national dialogue. If Ruto calls the nation today and addressed the nation at 6 p.m. today and says, "Dear Kenyans, I know we are about to take our country the wrong direction. I was elected president to protect the constitution. But we are having a president, we are having a circumstances here which is now cannot be addressed with the constitution. Let's go to Bomas. Let's meet in Bomas and start looking for what are the issues. Because if Raila Odinga and Ruto meet, we don't know what they agree on. They might agree on a handout between them, but then leave us with high cost of living. Because the issue here is not about presidency only. It's also about high cost of living and the Finance Act, isn't it? So Finance Act touches businesses, touches individuals, touches young people, education, healthcare, and the rest. So if we have a national dialogue, this can actually shelve this pressure, and Raila Odinga can go and present before a committee in Bomas and recommend what he thinks is the way forward.
Yes, that's a prayer. That's the prayer for majority of Kenyans.
Yes, this is the prayer. Yes, and this will avert this demonstration, which we know will destroy our nation.
But then, Prof, even when we say that's the prayer for majority of Kenyans, we do know that there are the hangers-on from both sides. Let me present this particular case.
Yes.
And this morning, if you go online to your Twitter platform, you're going to see that Kimani Ichung'wah is trending because he's one hardliner, essentially, on the side for the Kenya Kwanza government, and we do know whom they are. And they've been speaking heavily on this particular ones. Even Moses Kuria making headlines this week when he said, when he cryptically talked about the death of one azimio leader. Good. Let me read you some sentiments of Kimani Ichung'wah this morning.
Yes.
Now, this is what he's saying. The intention of the protest is to flout the law. The design is to cause chaos and make business suffer in the false hope that they will cause a power sharing arrangement. Goes on to say, as leaders, we call on police to firmly deal with the gangs as we commit to play our part in ensuring no further sabotage of our economy by the political anarchists. Now hold on. Over this other side as well, we do have hardliners within the Azimio side who are saying, well, if you can't talk to us, we are gonna push you to the end. So now, Prof, for the sake of our audience, is it just an issue of Raila Odinga and Ruto? Because it looks as if the prayers of Kenyans is, why can't you talk? Because you can't get a solution for us today. But if you look at Raila Odinga this time around, one man was never stood for long in a place where he sees nothing in for himself. Kalonzo Musyoka is still with Raila Odinga, attending those protests. This morning, as we start, his security protocol has been withdrawn, same to Raila Odinga. Martha Karua is still right there. You cross over the other side for Kenya Kwanza as well. We do have DP, Rigathi Gachagua, we have the likes of Kimani Ichung'wah, and the rest of them that we do know essentially piloted the big man into that office. Is that why, to date, we've not got a solution? Because the two men are also told, look here, it is not just about you this time around, because we count for who you are today.
You see, Simba, leadership doesn't call for when things are going on well. You are not successful husband because there's no crisis at home. And you are not a successful father when everything is right. Your leadership as a man at home, even as a woman at home, is seen during the trying times. The legacy of everyone has not been made by smooth goings. No one has made a legacy with smooth goings. Legacies have been made during difficult times. And I would even tell you to one of the mayor of New York during the Twin Tower attack. He was a mayor that was seen to be the most useless mayor in the history of New York. But when the Twin Tower incident took place, he appeared in the Forbes front page as someone who made a mark. In fact, he was rated as the one who will never count in the history of New York mayor. And this is the time when these people, in fact, Uhuru Kenyatta, if you look at it, that's why he remains my favorite president. For many reasons. I didn't vote for him anyway, but he became my favorite president second time when he just appeared in the Fruto State House. I know, because I know the people around him, he didn't even brief them about what he was going to do. He had talked to Raila in private, then they just handshaked and said, Building Bridges Initiative. whatever that thing did, remember BBI failed, but Uhuru succeeded by uniting the nation. So if Ruto, you said that he does not want to go the route of Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta.
Because of the hangers-on.
He has a PhD.
Yes.
He is the most educated president Kenya has ever had.
Yes.
If he can't do what his predecessors did, let him do something more brilliant. And what that is not shouting back. It is not this hardline standing. He can manage them. And I can also tell you, there's a lie that these Kenya Kwanza guys can hold him hostage. Do you know William Ruto? As far as I'm concerned, William Ruto has a better chance to transform this country more than anybody else. Do you know why? Because William Ruto was not elected by a system which will hold him hostage. Do you know other presidents have always been whereby there's like Mount Kenya Foundation came and made you president. After you become president, you have to dance their tune.
Yes.
Ruto responds to nobody. He's not reporting to those people. In fact, the Ichungwas are there because of him. Not that Ichungwa made Ruto. Can you tell me that Ichungwa made Ruto?
Is that the story though? Because even others aside, when we look at the likes of Moses Wetangula, when we look at the likes of
he brought those people on board. Those people are eternally grateful to him. In fact, he called Kenya Kwanza MPs in parliament and told them, if you want to vote for the finance bill because you are elected by people, let me tell you what, they elected you on my behalf. And they elected you because of me. Geopolitics is important. There are people who are very good candidates in Mount Kenya who stood against Ruto and they lost with their good records.
Yes.
And who is Ichungwa? No, but let me ask you, my brother, do you know Uhuru Kenyatta? Can you compare Uhuru Kenyatta with Ichungwa? Ichungwa has 2 houses. If you look at the establishments of Uhuru Kenyatta and you want to compare, it's just Uhuru Kenyatta is a quiet man. If Uhuru Kenyatta was to come to this Mandamano, what you could be seeing is different. So I'm trying to tell you, even Raila Odinga in equal measure, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, they want a political career after 2027. So they are more...
Are they pushing Raila?
Yes.
Are they pushing Raila this time not to go to the negotiation
Actually,
table?
the person in this place who is under pressure is Raila. Raila knows that after 2027, he cannot come saying he wants Kalonzo to support him because he has supported him. The MPs in Machakos, or if you like, Ukambani, are saying in 2027, they want Raila to stand behind Kalonzo, not the other way around. So Raila has only these 5 years. And this 5 years is when he has it. And then look at it this way again. I want you to remove this conversation to be decision between Raila and Ruto. This decision is Ruto's decision. Our media needs to put pressure on the right man. When you are quarreling with your wife, when I come home, I will not ask your wife to respect you. I'll tell you to be a leader at home. You are the one to decide. Do you know, the quietness, peace and tranquility at home depends on the husband. Like for me at home, when my wife is up in arms, I relax and I'll sweetheart, what has gone wrong? Isn't it? Then maybe after she smiles, then the children looks at us and after that, then everything is peaceful. But if I bang the table, I set the tone. So the person setting the tone, I'll tell you, we have an angry president and we have hungry and angry Kenyans. Who will cool down is the president, not the Kenyans. Because for us, we are a mass. The president is one person with power. So I can tell you, an angry president, a hungry and angry nation, if you add together, is chaos. So we want the president to become magnanimous. And I told you, during the campaign, we saw a very angry president campaigning. You look at the clips. Don't kill my children. Don't do this. We are hustlers. It was all anger, 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 anger. So the president has to distinguish the campaign candidate from the president. The presidency is a symbol of peace, unity, and harmony. Are we seeing harmony when some people are being called Jaluos, when some people are being called opposition, wengine vitu watendawili? Ruto is Raila's president, period, whether Raila agrees or not. He is the president. Because if you carry your passport, Simba, look at your passport, page 1 is written. Is written. His Excellency the President requests anybody who sees this document to grant Simba all the support needed for his travel. His Excellency the President. It is not the passport asking. So this is your president. Me, if I was president, I would even read those documents. This is so humbling that if I'm traveling, even if I'm not in Kenya Kwanza, the president is asking, I was in Tanzania, the president is asking everyone in Tanzania to support me. Raila travels. On which passport is it? Kenyan passport. Even if the diplomatic is Kenyan. The president is asking anyone to support Raila when he traveled to the US and back on his passport. So this is the guy we need to put pressure on. Let him decide. With great power comes great responsibility. So the president has the greatest power. Raila is powerless. So we cannot put pressure on Ruto. Uhuru gave Ruto what? The sword and the constitution. Why is it going back to Uhuru? He should take the sword and the constitution, rule the country, and the Bible. The sword, the constitution, and the Bible, use them. Why is he going and say, Uhuru, you are the one causing my trouble? No. Let him be the one to take the ultimate responsibility and deliver this country. I'm telling you, man, if it's leadership, this is what defines Ruto. Winning an election is not an end in itself. In win election, you get legal license to operate. You feed people. You take them to school. You are able to ensure they have housing. Then you are president. Giving birth to a child is not what makes you a father, but ensuring the children can eat, ensuring the children can go to school, ensuring the children can sleep well. If you continue reminding your children that I am your father and they can't eat, you have no use, my brother. As I can tell, even to give you free advice on marriage. At home, I told my wife that, please, don't ask me many decisions. I don't make many decisions. My decisions are simple. I decide that anybody under this roof must be happy. The day you are not happy, tell me, either we find a solution or you leave, including the children and the house helps, isn't it? And then the second decision is how to finance that happiness, isn't it? So 2 decisions only. Everybody under this roof must be happy. Give me the budget for that, isn't it? After that, whether you're eating ugali in Omena, whether you're eating mbuta and sukuma, is none of my business. So I'm trying to say the president should decide we want a peaceful nation, a peaceful, united, harmonious nation, prosperous nation. Then after that, other decisions now will come later. But now, if you're telling me we are going for demonstration, Kenya collects 9 billion shillings in taxes per day. As an economist, we know that. Tomorrow, they'll collect maximum 2 billion. A drop from 7 billion. Why are we fighting and killing 7 billion, yet you want to tax people? This money you want to tax under demonstration, you can't collect it. If they say they don't want the tax bill, withdraw it. And then let them give you the money they've been giving you. And then if you go to shoot them, the police saying, Mtaona, you are shooting Kenyans who are paying taxes. Who will pay these taxes once they are dead? And they can't stay home because they're going to die any of hunger. I have seen many Kenyans, let's say 4 million Kenyans are in danger of hunger. They can die of hunger, isn't it? Those 4 million have nothing to lose. They will go out tomorrow and you'll kill them. You understand? So if your strategy is to kill hungry people, then when people have money, do it. But as president, that's not a legacy. The president might go down in history for having made so many Kenyans die of hunger and bullets rather than holding to power.
Pretty much.
And I summarize using the Bible. St. Paul says, if eating bread can put my brother into sin, I'd rather not eat meat. So, if being president would make Kenyans die, what's the use?
Pretty much. I want you to take 2 minutes then to respond to this particular question as we come to the end of our conversation this morning, Prof. And I've got Mwangi and Titus. I've just joined those 2 questions together. Who are essentially asking, so should maandamano be from Wednesday to Friday? And it turns out the way it turned out last week, Wednesday. Is that not a big loss for Ruto in terms of who controls this nation?
In fact, if you look at what, if at all maandamano happens on Wednesday, and they're successful. Success here means to the opposition that is closer to what happened on Wednesday last week. It will be more successful on Thursday and more successful on Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
The power that RUTO has will become questioned because he said it will not happen. You know, why I don't like putting statements on things that I cannot control is once you say them, then they happen, you have no control. Now, if you go home and you're with your son, my son is 5 years old, and I tell him, Mattis, today it cannot rain. If it rains, I'm not your father. Then it rains, I'm not his father. So he says, I'm the president. There'll be no mandamano.
Yes.
If it happens,
yes,
it'll damage him twice.
Yeah.
One, economically, no revenue collected, and secondly, reputation. You said it won't happen, it has happened.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So according to me, the president should not even be starting saying it won't happen. The president will say, you want to demonstrate? Yes. Anybody who breaks the law will be dealt by the law and live there.
Yes.
Then anything else, let other guys do. In fact, the president has enough people to talk. You don't buy a dog, then you bark. Let the dog bark. So according to me, Kindiki is there. Inspector General is there. Let them deal with their monkey. I'm the head of state. I decide on policy. Executive order is that no one should break the law during mandamano. That's it. How you do it, that's not my business.
Yes.
Be the president, but you have a president who is a president. He's deputy president sometimes.
Yes.
He's a minister for security. Sometimes he's the police. Sometimes he's what? Be president. Kibaki was a president. He allowed people to do their work, and that's why he managed a lot. Can you imagine if all ministers are in government and they are waiting for you to tell them what to do? If they fail, you can't tell them they failed. If they fail, it is you who tell them what to do. If I'm your minister, Simba, and you have asked me what to do, if I fail, I say, no, Simba, what you told me I did and failed. But if you tell me, Fred, what I want is a peaceful nation. Now, how I do it, if I fail, tell please, this nation is not peaceful. I'll only ask about peace. I won't ask what you did. So here we are asking the president, giving instructions, managing by instruction. And I can tell you, managed by instruction was a managerial policy during Taylor in the year 15th century, where you told people in the construction work how to carry blocks. But nowadays, we went to management by objectives, then management by values. Tell me the values, I know what to do. So as head of state, manage by values.
Isn't it?
The objective will be set by your other ministers.
Yes.
The people on the ground will manage by instruction. That's not your work.
That's it. So take a minute then to respond to this particular one, by the way, by Cornelius, who's saying the decision by the illegitimate regime to withdraw security officers assigned to protect azimio leaders, including former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, is a clear indication of their desperation. This is abuse of power, and a step towards dictatorship. Do you agree? 15 seconds, Prof.
Yeah, because you see, what's happening is that why should you withdraw people's security? They have got a right to those security. That's why I'm afraid is the president suspending the constitution for the sake of his interest. Give them security. That's why even the demonstrations are not working. I wanted to quote something called Public Order Act.
Yes.
Public Order Act says you have a right to demonstrate, but also to enjoy.
Yes.
So instead of this chest thumping, these people should have spent time educating Kenyans how to demonstrate according to the constitution, and then let everybody comply.
Yes.
Maybe, just maybe, we could have less collateral damage.
Pretty much. All right, just a sample of your final submissions this morning online at Lookuptv across all of social media platforms. This is Sean Luke saying, what do you think would be the best move to create a win-win situation? And Dennis Wendell saying that this guy is bright and it looks cool when answering questions. I'm watching from Embakasi. That's to you, Prof. And that is Triton Ventures saying, angry and hungry and angry is chaos. Actually quoting you as you come to the end of that particular conversation. Thank you very much for being part and parcel of this one. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back then, let's move away from the chaos of anger and hunger and back to anger as well, and talk about business in the trucking segment, in the transport sector in the country. Good morning. Taking back to the time that he joins us this morning on 7:30 all the way to 9, online at Lookuptv, across all your social media platforms. Whatever happens tomorrow, he says, hopefully we don't get there. Good morning.
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na manjoro. Every Sunday saa 10. Jiunge na mimi ili nikufundishe mengi kuhusu ukulima wa nyanya, wa mboga, kuweka ng'ombe, kila kitu ambayo inahusikana na ukulima, ili ujifundishe mengi, uweze kujua ukulima pia ni mali. Kumbuka kipindi ni nini? Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na manjoro, upate hela.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray, 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 pray.
Assalamu alaikum. Siku ya leo tuko katika kaunti ya Kwale. Takriban watu 800 leo watapokea usaidizi wetu kwa hisani ya RUTO Foundation. Kwa hivyo ambatana na mimi siku ya leo tuone hali vipi.
Iko mbaya sana baba. Iko mbaya hali. Iko mbaya. Njaa tu.
Tunashukuru kwa grupu ya Tuliani Kayamba.
Nashukuru kupata msaada kidogo, unaweza kunisaidia kidogo.
Waizidi na imani hiyo.
Asante sana kwa RUTO, manake imebadilisha maisha, imetugusia maisha yetu, na leo tunalala watu tofauti.
Na bwana nashukuru na Mungu akubarikieni.
As long as we go with that theme that ukicheza kila mtu ni mshindi, we will also continue to support.
Kwanza nawafurahikia sana, nataka tena wakija wanikumbuke mimi mzee wao.
Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Away from the politics of this country, let's look at business, because we really can't talk about politics without essentially touching on the area that the politics are supposed to impact, which is business in this country. Now, for those people interested in business of vehicles, we do know that transport is a major key area, if you may, that you have to think about when you're starting your business. But then in the transport industry, you also have to know exactly what's going on there in terms of making sure that you have a trading solution within that transport system that you're implementing in your business. So tracking essentially becomes a very big area that you have to think about for your business as a trader. So this morning, we are privileged to be hosting one Joseph Mwongi, who is a director at Finatruck Global Limited, to tell us some of those trading solutions that you gotta think about as a business owner when it comes to the transport systems that you wanna implement in your business. Joseph, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Happy to have you around. So, for any other person who wants to know who Finatruck is, okay, how do you tell them who you are?
So basically, Finatruck Global Limited is licensed by the Communication Authority of Kenya as an application service provider for vehicle tracking and fleet management solutions. Yes.
Every time you talk about vehicle tracking,
yes,
and fleet management, I want to start with vehicle tracking. People think, ni kuwekewa tu sensor kwa gari na hiyo story inaisha, and then it's done and dusted. Could you talk to me about why, as a business owner, I need to start thinking about vehicle tracking? Start with business, then we go to personal vehicles as well.
Okay. So from a business perspective, the first advantage is the peace of mind. So it's definitely having the ability to know where your assets are at any particular time. Then from there, it's also profitability. This is it's in relation to you having control of the use of your vehicle, ensuring it's being used in the most efficient way possible. Because what people go wrong about vehicle tracking, they simply assume it's a device which I need, that in the event that my vehicle is stolen, I'll be able to recover.
I will know where it is.
Yeah. But the whole gist of, or majority benefit of having the vehicle tracker is within the operations. You enhancing your operations. Because from the vehicle tracker, you get the information of where your vehicle is.
Yes.
You can plan the journeys beforehand based on the routes and the traffics. You can also be able to analyze later on what was the use of my vehicle, what was the mileage covered, vis-a-vis the cost which I incurred.
Yes.
Yes.
So no wonder you're calling it a trading solution now. We're not just telling you, come, let's track your vehicles.
Yes.
You're saying, well, we're going to give you a trading solution
Yes.
in terms of how you're going to manage the use of this particular asset.
Yes, exactly.
So let's go directly then into that trading solution.
Okay.
What data, for example, if I come and tell you, Joseph, I've got 10 trucks.
Okay.
I need you to fit them with that particular system. What data am I going to get from this particular trucks through your system?
Okay. So the first piece of data which you'll get definitely is the mileage, distance covered by your truck. Next, you'll be able to extrapolate consumption, fuel consumption. Because within the transport industry, the highest cost related to operations is usually fuel. So with this system, you're able to monitor fuel consumption. So in terms of fuel consumption, you're also able to control elements of fraud and fuel theft, which is a critical loss area within the transport industry. And then over and above that, you're also able to use now the system to manage your service. Let's say you're a transport business, you transport goods. You're able to assist your clients, get timely deliveries. You can also offer your clients a platform through which themselves can be able to track their own goods. So this helps them also on their end in terms of planning. And you also reduce losses due to inefficiencies. Yes. So the system integrates both your driver aspect and also you yourself as a manager aspect.
I'm going to get back to these questions. One of the areas that majority of the truckers, those guys who are into transport business have been talking about is when they lose their fuel from these tanks, where a driver's en route tells you, well, I don't have enough fuel, so I got to fuel somewhere, and they start selling it. I normally see those incidents on the road, especially when you're on long distance journeys. How does your system stop that? Could you tell us how it makes it bulletproof from anybody stealing fuel from my tank?
So first of all, you need to install a smart sensor into the fuel tank. So with this sensor, on your phone, you're able to see the real-time fuel in your tank. In the event of siphoning, where siphoning now refers to someone now removing the fuel from the tank, you get a real-time alert on your phone. Because what happens within the transport industry, the vehicle owner knows that there's fuel theft, but they can't prove where the fuel theft happened or quantify how much fuel theft was actually involved. So with this system, you're able to real-time pick my fuel from my tank is being siphoned as we speak. So
how does the sensor behave? Because there could be a lot of explanations as why you've got that beep on your phone.
Yeah. No. The way it works, the sensor is connected to the tracking device.
Okay.
So in the event that abnormal fuel consumption happens in your vehicle, you get a real-time alert on the app. Now remember, even as the vehicle is en route, you're able to see real-time fuel consumption.
Yes.
So let's say I've topped up 100 liters. My truck is moving from Nairobi to Mombasa. So as the truck is moving, the sensor, the same way your gauge works in the car, is the same way the sensor works. It shows as fuel is reducing. If you tell your driver, go and refuel, if they add 20 liters on your system, real time, you're able to see 20 liters has been added.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's possible to actually then say, well, I've added 20 liters, I've added this, or I've removed this amount of liters. Is that what happens, that when the vehicle stops, then it should be consuming fuel?
Yes, when it stops now, fuel consumption should land. So if in such a scenario, the system now picks as an abnormality and sends you an alert, a siphoning alert. Yes.
Pretty much. Another question comes like this. Well, I'm a sole entrepreneur. The only thing I've got is a lot of trucks that are essentially in the system. So I'm in that business for just making money. Am I the one who's going to sit back, Joseph, and say, well, I'm the one who's going to essentially track everything that's happening in this particular system? So essentially what I do, I wake up in the morning. All my trucks might be in business. Some might be traveling at night when I'm sleeping. When do I get this real-time update? How is it possible? Are you the one who's managing that system for me?
Yeah, so there are two different options.
Yes.
So most transport companies prefer having their own fleet managers in-house. But some of them also contract that job now to us. So now we assign a team to manage their fleet. So now that encompasses the element of fleet management, complete fleet management. So in this sense, we get information from the client that I have an order where my truck is supposed to move goods from point A to point B. So we do the whole journey management plan.
I see that now.
Yes.
Isn't it? Like I can come get those services to you just based on a single journey.
Yes.
I need you to follow that truck and manage for me from whatever it is up to where it's supposed to end up.
Yes.
Yes.
Because apart from fuel theft, journey management plan, if it's not taken into account well, it's what also leads to these road accidents, which happen all the time. Because if you poorly manage the journey, let's say your driver can drive for too long, causing fatigue, increasing the chances of an accident. So you're supposed to be able to plan within this route, the vehicle will have reached this point by this time.
Driving at this particular speed.
Driving at this particular speed.
Yes.
And in case there's a problem, from the tracking system, you're able to estimate the safe distance where the vehicle should stop. So the driver should stop at a particular point, relax for a particular point of time, and then from there, they're supposed to move from there, let's say maybe to the destination. So throughout that journey management system, our team now liaises with the driver directly. And in case of any challenges on the road, let's say a mechanical breakdown, we also liaise with a team of experts on the ground. Let's say they need a technician, we liaise promptly. So we save on time and reduce the risks of further losses.
That is essentially just a trading solution. It's not just a tracking solution, isn't
exactly.
it? You've essentially moved from a tracking solution into now a trading solution in terms of even how these guys get their businesses. Good. Another question that you're going to run into, Joseph, essentially when you're talking about Finatruck, it is number two. Can I get your services on a single journey in the sense of I'm not going to subscribe
Yeah.
into your business month to month.
Yeah.
No, I've got I am essentially going to come to you when I've got an order.
Yeah.
As I call you, I've got an order for tomorrow. Please come manage this particular truck. What are those bouquets that you have for your customers?
Yeah, we actually have such a plan. So in such a scenario, we have portable tracking devices.
Okay.
They're actually magnetic devices, which we're able to activate based on a particular period of time. We can activate them for 1 week, 1 day. So once we install this, they don't need any wiring. So let's say it's in the cargo, we can attach it somewhere, securely in the cargo, or also in the cabin. So with this, we're able to monitor for you the vehicle. And in some special scenarios, some people also want us to monitor video. So we also install smart video devices. So over and above tracking, we're able to monitor everything happening. Let's say it's inside the cabin or inside the container. Now ensuring we manage the full journey. And at the end, we are able to also ensure paperwork is done in order. Let's say there's a delivery note. The delivery note is signed, scanned on the phone, and uploaded. And the client is able to verify beforehand, before the truck leaves the site, that the goods have been received and they're in good order.
That's it.
And then now from there, they can be able to invoice.
That's it.
Yes.
Pretty much. What about theft that occurs to the luggage that is essentially getting transported? Because that's another area that majority of traders have been complaining that, well, the quality of goods that were received by the client were not essentially what the truck started the journey with. Yes.
Yeah, so we also help with managing that, but that's a huge risk on the moral hazard. Now that's where we pay a lot of attention on the type of driver who's involved in that particular trip.
Yes.
So in most cases, the truck owner has their own driver. So in special scenarios, if the goods being transported are sensitive, we also add one of our members from our team.
I see that now.
Yes.
Yes.
Now to be able to accompany, it's more or less an escort, to escort the goods to the particular destination. But we're able to limit these incidents of fraud. So one of the essential parts is ensuring unloading the driver signs off, that they are committing that I'm carrying 15 tons. I sign when picking the goods. When offloading, I go and weigh again. Now, if now there's an issue, I already committed myself that I was carrying 15 tons. Now I have to explain.
Where did the rest of them go?
Where did the rest go?
Yes.
Because the essence why you find a lot of fraud is there are no checks and balances. So if you say your driver stole, how much did he steal? If the driver himself did not confirm at the point of loading what quantity of goods he was given.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's more or less a case of suspicion. Now you can't hold him purely accountable. Even if you take him to court, there's no way you can be able to prove that my driver took these goods, this quantity here, but when he reached here, they were lower.
Pretty much. You're going to run into this question. We're going to look at the pricing model that you essentially use then to attract majority of traders to your company. Now, what about personal solutions for people with private cars as well? And I'm going to ask this question in a very interesting way. People say, I had a trucker in my car. My car was stolen. At some point, the truck essentially just went offline. I can't track that car. What are those cases, Joseph?
That's usually a case of tampering. Because what happens, and it's a sad scenario, so as we make security measures on one end, other people are investing on how to counter those security measures. Because in essence, what happens practically, if your vehicle is stolen and there's a lapse of time before being reported, for example, the person who has stolen your vehicle, if they have technical expertise, they can be able to dismantle your car and tamper with the wiring, because the device is powered by power from your car. So if I'm a qualified vehicle technician, I'm able to comb through your car, through the wiring system of your car, find the tracker, and essentially destroy the tracker. So that's what usually happens in most scenarios.
How do you limit that at Finatruck? Because if essentially I'm carrying, valuable goods, then that can be an area for me to target your company from.
Yes. So in such special scenarios, what we do is first the device which we install, we make sure it's tamper-proof. In this sense, we mean that in the event it's being tampered with, you get a real-time alert there and then that your device has been disconnected.
Yes.
There and then. And then an extra mile which we go is adding another tracker, which is a wireless tracker. These are more difficult to find, and they're not obvious devices. So whenever you're combing through the wiring of your vehicle, it's very difficult for you to locate this particular device. And once this particular device, let's say, gets access to light, since we've obviously hidden it somewhere, it also sends a real-time alert. Yeah, that where you had covered this device,
somebody is essentially uncovering it. Yeah, pretty much.
So in real sense, you're really trying to just reduce the probability of tampering.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about the bouquets then, because it's important for any other person who's listening to you, saying, well, what are the bouquets that I'm looking at Finatrack? Now, let's begin with somebody who's got, actually, just before that, there's another question here, that it just doesn't go beyond the tracking system. There are also people who say, well, what security services do you also have, essentially, when I'm transporting these valuable goods? Do you also offer escort services with the goods that are getting transported on the road?
Yes. In special scenarios, we also offer that.
Yes. Pretty much. Good. Let's begin then with the first bouquet. Somebody who's just approaching you at the point of that particular order. I've got a client in Kisumu. I want to move my goods from Nairobi to Kisumu. Give me the service. How much am I going to pay for one truck?
For one truck, one journey?
Yes.
So the starting price is usually 3,000. 3,000 Kenya shillings for that one package. If you want a simple trip, cargo, truck installed in Kisumu, being installed in Nairobi, that's 3,000, and it can also include one extra person to escort the goods for you within that one trip. Yes.
Manageable, isn't it?
Yes.
Especially when you look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, because what we are really trying to do is make it more sustainable. In such a way that if I had 3 trucks coming this way, I can be able to cover the 3 trucks and be sure that my goods
are well safe. The Finatrack is taking care of them. The only thing I'm going to see is the paperwork by the end of the day, and I'm done. Done and dusted.
And you're done and dusted. And then over and above that, we also partner with insurance companies. Because there's something also called goods in transit insurance. Because even if we ourselves are involved in protecting the goods, we can't 100% guarantee against things such as accidents.
Damages and accidents as well.
So in the event of an accident and the goods are damaged, now that's where the insurance comes in.
Very important from that perspective.
And also the insurance now takes advantage of, once we have the tracking system, it really helps a lot in explaining. So we see the journey started, and at this particular point, this is where the impact happened. So also in terms of the claiming process becomes easier, unlike when you didn't have the tracking system.
Yes. Pretty much. All right. Now, somebody again approaches you from this perspective. I need to subscribe to you. I'm into this business. I've got a couple of trucks. I want to know exactly what they're up to, where they are, and even when they're on transit, I need to know exactly what that is. Tells you you're going to manage the system, you yourselves. All right. How much is that bouquet?
So for that bouquet, the installation is 10,000. Because now for that bouquet, we need to install now the wired device. So once we do the installation...
That's on one truck, isn't it?
Yeah, on one truck, 10,000 for one truck. And then now the annual plan starts at 2,500 to 5,000 Kenya shillings, now depending on the services required. So for the 2,500, we only manage the system online. But now for the 5,000, now there we also assign to you a personal fleet manager to be able to liaise with you in the event of trips, in the event of checkups. You're able to liaise with them directly. And they're able also to give you regular reports. Let's say daily, weekly, or monthly.
That is an event where I am the one managing that particular system.
We give you the access, but you also have a fleet manager who runs now reports for you. Yes.
Pretty much. This system, is it operated through an app? How does it function?
The system, we have an Android app and also an iOS app. So you can have it on your phone and also through our website. Yes. So whenever on any device, you're able to access all this information. Yes.
Pretty much. Good. Somebody's going to ask you updates on the system. If I have any other problem with a particular system, what do I need to do?
If you have any other problem? So for particular issues, you raise them directly with us. So we are able to liaise one-on-one with the vehicle owner, because there are some scenarios where we can't install the device. Let's say your vehicle is garaged. So the vehicle on our system will go offline. So that's where now we link one-on-one with the vehicle owner and confirm what's the real issue. So if it's a normal checkup on their end, we leave it. But if it's a case of either tampering on a wiring fault, we send our technician.
Yes. Pretty much. Now, Joseph, since you started the company, and Kenyans have been blamed for being the traditional guys. Mimi nakuanga na driver wangu ule na trust. Naenda huku shago, napata mtu mzuri. Nasema wewe ndio ulikuwa unaendesha gari zangu. You know, just to take care of every other eventuality that might come in. Or you get somebody from within the family and say, you guys will be the ones who will be driving my trucks. So with the entire aim of my guys cannot kill me in business. Do you think majority of business owners in the country have realized that indeed this is the way to go, going by how your company has grown?
Yeah, see, from the time we started to now, people are really appreciating the differences. Because before it was purely on subjective terms, where people could base a lot on assumptions. But now with this system gives you the confidence to accurately point out there's an issue here, I'm losing money here, and corrective measures can easily be recommended now based on facts and data. Yes.
Pretty much. I've got another question from you, by the way, this morning. Job, my brother saw you coming on the TV this morning. He said, can you ask him that these guys will say in personal cars, just buy a Kabampe phone, hook it up to wiring system in the car, hide it somewhere. That is way better than a tracker in your personal car. As somebody in the business, I know you hear these stories. Yes,
I hear. A lot of that is is propagated by what the guys watch on YouTube. Because what we have with such a device, it's really, in some sense, you're trying to create your own tracking system. But what you lacked is the data. Because what you'll be able to see is the position of the Kabambe through a DCI officer. Because you know, in Kenya, let's say right now, I can track you based on your phone's location. But I can't do it by myself.
You have to get permission.
You have to get permission.
And prove why you're doing it,
Yes, you have to prove why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the only people given the right to do this are DCI officers. And when you go to the station, it's not all of them. There are specific guys who have that access to that type of system. And then another thing, when you're using that system, it doesn't pinpoint the actual location. Because what it depends on is the network, the network masts of the telecommunication companies.
Okay, so it tells you...
It just triangulates, tells you the vehicle is within this area.
So it's not exact,
it's not 100%. It's not 100%. Because with the tracking system, you get up to 10 meters accuracy when the vehicle is covered, and in the open up to 5 meters. But with a phone, you only get an estimated area. And then another thing with the phone, you're not able to get historical data, unlike the tracking system. Because it will show you this person is within this area now, but 1 hour ago, you can't know. Now that's the main difference.
That's the main difference. Good. Then let's answer the second question. How much does it cost then for personal cars then to work with you in terms of tracking the cars?
So for personal cars, usually 10,000, the installation.
That's the installation, isn't it?
And then an annual fee of 2,000.
An annual fee of 2,000.
And in some scenarios where the person doesn't want the annual fee, we give them a waiver by paying an extra 5,000. But in this case, they have to be able to top up data, because the tracking device also has a SIM card. Which requires now to send the data to the server.
I see.
So now the vehicle owner has to top up airtime regularly to that SIM card.
All right. So you give them the access.
Give them the full access
to essentially go. But it's 10,000, isn't it?
It's 10,000.
To actually get to do that.
The installation.
Pretty much. Now we take a tiny breather right here. By the way, Joseph, once we come back, I want to talk about FinaTrack. What essentially you're looking to grow into for any other person listening to this morning, on exactly how they can even think about working with you as well. We are with Joseph this morning, looking at essentially what it is presenting to you, which is a trading system. Once we come back, I want to learn much about FinaTrack, essentially that particular segment that they are into, and more about Joseph the man himself. Good morning. Like that.
The county government of Nyeri, with approval of His Excellency the Governor, Mutahi Kahiga, has granted 100% waiver on all interest and penalty accrued on all outstanding land rates. Property owners in Nyeri County are advised to take advantage of the waiver period that starts from 30th June 2023 and ends on 28th July 2023 on condition that the principal rates are paid in full. Property owners are advised to obtain invoices from the Sub-County Revenue Office where the property is located and make payment by depositing cash or banker's check to a bank account. Take notice that once the waiver period lapses, the county government will institute all necessary measures to recover any unpaid rates and penalties, including repossessing the property.
The future is hands-on, and Sensei College is at the front line of technical institutes in Kenya, offering practical and skill-based courses accredited by all concerned bodies, TVETA, NTSA and NITA. Sensei College offers driving and plant operator, cosmetology, fashion and design, mechanics, hydroponics and irrigation, installation, building construction, hospitality, photography and video production, electrical and electronics repairs, and ICT courses. Get free plant operator training when you enroll for plant mechanics, free driving when you enroll for motor vehicle mechanics, and free riding when you enroll for motorcycle mechanics. The requirement is an ID only, with intakes every first week of the month. We have 2 campuses in Nakuru and Nairobi. We provide meals and accommodation. Sensei College. My skills, my future.
Pretty much. Welcome back to the Morning Drift. We are chatting the last part of our conversation this morning. And here's the thing then, it doesn't stop here, because if Joseph is talking about the trading solutions that they do have at Finatrack, we want to learn exactly how the particular industry is growing and essentially where the company is going, this Finatrack. Good. Joseph, let's talk about it then. When did you start Finatrack, and what would you say have been the milestones that you've seen at your company?
So the company, I started it in 2017. From 2019, we also started offering vehicle tracking now to the banks,
yes,
which is usually one of the major critical clients. So for the banks, for them now we secure the loaned vehicles on their behalf. So once you apply for asset finance, the bank has to be sure that their vehicle is safe. Because the vehicle is still co-owned between you and the bank. So also in the event of loan default, we are also the ones who liaise now with the auctioneers,
yes,
from the bank. And also in the event of confirming that the assets are still within the country, we offer that information to the bank.
Does it?
Yes.
How sensitive is that particular segment itself? Because they say you as a company really have to trust your processes for you to start working with the banks, because you do know that you're working with a very critical area, that those are not the vehicles of the client until they're done with payment. So if anything happens, the vehicle disappears. Does it go back to you?
Yes, we are responsible. We take full responsibility.
Yes.
In fact, for us to be able to offer this particular service, we also have to have a professional indemnity insurance.
Yes.
So, because what happens here, in the event of theft, now we liaise also with the insurance company for this particular vehicle, ensuring the whole process is streamlined. Because we have some cases where there's also an element of fraud involved. Let's say this person feels like, I'm struggling to pay this loan. So what do? They go tamper with the vehicle, maybe sell it off as parts, and go and declare my vehicle was stolen. So
and those cases do happen.
Those cases do happen.
Yeah,
they do happen. Or let's say I'm struggling with my loan. I tell my driver, go leave the vehicle on the side of a cliff, get out. The vehicle becomes a write-off and I'm paid off by the insurance company. So it's usually a very critical industry, and that's why we have to also to be licensed by CAK. Because we are handling all this information, and we also are supposed to be responsible enough to be able to manage it prudently. Yes.
That's it. And I call it sensitive in this sense, because now it's essentially changes your liability essentially to these assets that now you're tracking. What data is very key in terms of working with banks when you're telling them, well, I'm going to help you track the cars that you're giving out on loan basis?
The banks mainly consider the reliability of your device. That's the first thing. And the next important thing which they need is the location. For you to be able to confirm to them regularly that you're sure where this vehicle is located at any particular time.
Yes.
And in the event of any wiring issue or challenges with the device, you're able to promptly notice and promptly resolve. So that's one of the key elements which the banks really pay attention to.
Does it?
Because for them, the main risk is default. Because the bank is not in the vehicle selling business, it's in the financing business.
Does it?
So for them, they are more interested in protecting the vehicle as an investment. They've loaned out money for this vehicle to be bought.
Does it?
So for you, on your end as a trucking company, they entrust you the responsibility in ensuring the vehicle can be located and it's being operated as per the agreement with the bank.
Does it?
Yes.
Pretty much. I'll be coming back to essentially what the integration with your app is online for all those people who want to now interact with your business online. Let's just delve into another area that I'm seeing on your website, which is essentially logbook car loan services now.
Yeah.
But when I look at your company now, you're growing into that company that is essentially within transport. Any other solution that you might want to get within the transport industry, we're here for sector, we're here for you.
Yes.
Why this area?
This area is actually critical because one of the major challenges which we found out within the transport industry is liquidity. Liquidity is one of the main challenges inhibiting growth and also challenging operations of any transport industry. So access to capital is required for you to be able to finance your operations.
Does it?
So in most scenarios, if you're within the transport industry, you have to be able to have adequate working capital for you to sustain your deliveries. So you find standard contracts where once you deliver, you have to invoice and get paid after 30 days, for example. So within these 30 days, you're still fueling, you have to pay your drivers, you have to cover your cost operations in the event of a breakdown. So that's why we are coming up with a host of in-house solutions to be able to assist the vehicle owners to be able to cover these expenses at a flexible rate such that they're still profitable in the operations. Yes.
Pretty much. But for the people that you're working with, they essentially aren't just looking for you for one service.
Yes.
Could you talk to me about how your interest rates in this particular segment have been made so that you can actually now say, we are in the business and you're not just like any other person who's coming and say, we can give you logbook loans. For us, we work in this particular industry, so we do understand your particular needs. So even the interest rates that we're going to call out for, they're going to be within that range.
So most of them are usually short-term loans. And the interest is about 3% of the amount loaned out. Because what you're working with here, we're not financing them to purchase assets. It's basically to cover their margins. So in such a scenario, we're able to understand that for this truck owner, his profit margins are 30% or 20%.
Does it?
So we tell them, if you're able to cover this and you just need something to cover this particular point, we only take 3% of the amount which you give you.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's essentially within the business. Because
within the business.
You've even seen that they're within the business and you know exactly what their profit margin is. So you understand what particular solution that you are actually looking for, isn't it? Pretty much. All right, let's go back to the FinaTrack Now app itself. It's got a lot of areas that you're covering. I can see you're in the car loan market, you're in the FinaTrack Garage, you're in the trucks marketplace. The interaction with the app, what do you see when you go right there? Because you're working with people who might not essentially be tech savvy. Somebody told me the guys in the trucking business, bwana, wale wazee wanataka tutengeza pesa sasa. And you're telling them, fungue your app bwana, tukupatie solutions. How does it look?
For the market solutions, those are actually different. They are basically websites. Because we created them now to solve practical problems which you saw within the market. Because like one of them is automat.co.ke. So it's simply a website which enables efficient selling, buying of vehicles, spare parts, access to the financial solutions and insurance. So it's just a one-stop shop for the vehicle owner to enhance his experience. So let's say I own a truck and I'm trying to dispose this truck so that I buy another truck. I can easily post the pictures there and the details, get a client, dispose it, buy another truck there. We've also partnered now with the relevant dealers within this particular